I'm Nathan Barry. I own 𝗬𝗪𝗟𝗟 Contracting and Home Services.
My name is 𝗬𝗪𝗟𝗟𝗟. I'm the owner of 𝗪𝗪𝗟𝗟𝗟 LLC.
So my name is Daniel Meza. I own a business called Phoenix Central Home Services.
My name is John Sherman. My name of my business is Affordable Handyman and Hauling.
My name is Mike Neal. I run a handyman business, the Humble Handyman.
Hi, I'm John Floyd.
My name is Joseph Vecchio. I'm 17 years old.
My name is Brittany. I own a business called The Humble Homemaker.
So my name is Dan Vecchio. I'm Joseph's dad.
My name is Luke Maines. I'm from Murray, Utah.
Yeah, Ray, my name is Greg Schwan.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ben Alexander, and I started a handyman company there about 6 years ago called Hank's Handyman Services.
My name's Kelly Rigby. Actually, we live in Oklahoma.
My name is, first of all, Josue Navarrete, right? I was born and raised in California.
My name is Britton, Crawford Contracting.
My name is Adrian Moeller, owner of HMI Pros.
My name is Robbie, owner of RobertOwensHandyman.com.
I'm Elijah Hudson. I'm the helper.
My name is Bob Belts, Belts Concrete and Home Solutions.
My name is Jerry, Suburban Specialties.
My name is Matthew Richards, full service handyman, Dayton, Ohio.
My name is Troy. I run the Denton Handyman.
Mr. Chris, welcome back, buddy. How are you doing?
Good. Great to be back, Ray. How are you, sir?
Good. I'm doing great, man. And I really mean that, too. We're going to dive into your business, but how are you doing personally?
I can sum it up by saying this month is year 3, the start of year 3, and it is going to be my best month by leaps and bounds.
Nice. That is perfect, man. I love to hear that. Oh. I have to apologize. I need to know how to pronounce your last name again, because I think I once thought it was Chemerys.
That's it.
And then somehow I decided it was Chemerys, and I've been calling you Chemerys for like a year. Well, it's been about a year now, actually. It was a year ago this month when we met.
Yeah.
So it's Chemerys then.
Yep.
Okay, right. Cool. I'm going to try to get that. I'm probably not going to use it again today, but I just want to make sure that I have your name down correctly. So I met you a year ago.
Yep.
And September 20th will be a year since the day that I met you. At that time, your personal life, which we don't have to dive into, but your personal life was going through some transitions and some upheavals.
Yep.
And your professional life, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were building your handyman business, right? You were in sort of the earlier phases of starting to build that business.
Yeah, I was just starting to really have to take it seriously, and I just came across you a few months before that, and that's what got me to the handyman camping trip. Was just like, you know what, I got to get serious about this. I got to physically go somewhere, physically talk to people, and
yeah.
Because when I met you,
and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, because when I met you, my business was in decline. I was literally doing everything backwards. While at the same time putting in tons of energy, and going out
worse too.
Going out there, I didn't even touch on any of the points that I had specifically, wanted to go through with you and the guys. I just got everything I needed from osmosis, and just the day-to-day conversation. I came back with a whole.
And I hear and see that over and over. Every one of these events is just exactly like that. Everybody shows up and just through awesome, just by being around other handymen nonstop for a few days and just talking about all the things that are going on. Everyone, I say it over and over, I don't do anything for anybody at any of these events. It's very minute, the amount of advice I give or coaching I do. I'm really just a host, and everybody who shows up at my party, they just kind of help each other, man. And everybody seems to leave with that same opinion.
Yeah, it was impressive. I did not expect that. I didn't even realize it until I was getting on the plane. I was like, I didn't touch on anything that I came here to touch on. It would have been a waste of time anyway, because everything that I wanted to talk about turned out to be completely the opposite direction of where I ever needed to go anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of events, have you signed up for next year's at the Grand Canyon?
No.
Or do you know about it?
I have come across it on one of the videos, but remind me of the exact dates again.
It's I want to say June. Let me go check. I want to say, I tell you what, I'm going to check. And while I'm checking, I know you had some news that you wanted to, well, maybe not specific news, but you wanted to let me know how good things are going lately. Do you want to tell me about that while I'm checking for the dates? I'm pretty good at multitasking.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to give a little bit of my backstory too, since?
Absolutely. Well, whatever you're comfortable talking about,
Yeah.
for sure. Anything that you want to talk about, I would love to hear. And I'll just so my audience isn't sitting there for 5 minutes waiting for me to look up information. I'll just listen to you, and they can listen to you while I'm working here.
Yeah, sure. So the short backstory is, I was a 20-year firefighter, and I was building spec homes on the side, 1 or 2 a year, and making decent money, completely miserable. Life changed with divorce, and then that changed really dramatically everything. I had to look at everything completely different, financially, spiritually, everything. And that's when I realized that I had to do something different, and this was the time to do it at that particular moment. And that was exactly about 2 years ago. But I had started the handyman business like a year before that, working for like some property managers, not knowing what I was doing. But when it was one of your videos that got me, that just locked me in, and was like, when you said you can do this, you don't have to be miserable. And same thing I said in the very first interview at the camp out. I was like, it just spoke to me, and I think I quit a week later, and then things started to change. And then once after the camp out, everything just really came, just all the answers just came right to me. Started doing everything right. Started just paying attention to the client. That's it. Didn't have to do any other stuff that I thought. Any of the flashy stuff, the wrapped vehicles, the crazy uniforms. Although I still do wear a uniform, but things just, I'm really, this is year 3, and the beginning of year 3, and I've never felt more positive.
That's crazy. I love that.
Yeah.
And you're right about something too, man. It's, the wrapped vehicles and the T-shirts and all of that, and the marketing and the websites, and those all matter. They definitely contribute something, but not enough people just pay attention to the client. It's literally, and I feel like it doesn't matter if you're trying to start like a multi-billion-dollar like internet startup, or if you're trying to just like run your little handyman business. It seems like any business ever, anywhere in the world, really, the step 1 is find a problem that needs to be solved. Step 2 is solve the problem.
Yep.
And step 3 is then figure out how to monetize that solution.
Yeah.
And that's, I think everything at its core that's business really boils down to that. And a lot of guys they've got the brand new Milwaukee tools, they've got the pack out kits, they've got the big, beautiful brand new wrap that's on like a $97,000 truck that they took out a loan for. They've got they've done every flashy thing they can think of, and they haven't spent very much time just sitting down and saying, what could I provide to my clients or my potential clients that would make them just feel like they don't ever want to do business with anybody but me?
Yeah. It's funny. I was just driving back from the beach this morning. I had a family wedding, and the radio show that I like to listen to, they were talking about that very same thing. They were just like, hey man, I finally found a handyman. He was working in my neighborhood. I went up to him, introduced myself, said, and this is both DJ hosts said the same thing. And they're like, and he's like, he was very professional. He dressed the part. He sounded intelligent, and got his card. And I called him, and I never heard back from him. And I called him again, never heard back from him. Yeah. And he's like, this guy is an imbecile. He's like, I told him that I would promote him on this show,
Oh,
it's like, he's like, I could have just, blew you up. And this guy couldn't even return a phone call. And then the callers just kept calling him like, yep, same thing. And it feels just like, if you communicate a little bit, like people even flat out say it to me sometimes. They're like, you could be the biggest asshole and this or that, but if you communicate with me, and that's almost more important than like how safe I feel around you or anything else. It's like they just it's such a foreign thing now that it's a huge deal for people. Yeah.
I've had a property manager that, you know, I ask my property managers infrequently. I wouldn't say frequently. It's probably infrequent. But every now and then I do ask them just for a little bit of feedback, just to make sure that we're still good on everything. And communication is always at the top of the list of what they appreciate with me. And one of them, I've literally asked him this question and he's verified for me. And I mean, it's all hypothetical when I'm asking. But I've literally said, I'm just curious, because you say communication all the time. So I'm just curious. Would you rather, with a new handyman, let's say that you could grade them on a scale of 1 to 100 in terms of how good they are at the maintenance, the actual quality of the work they do, and how good they are at the communication. I said, would you rather have a handyman who's like a 95 with communication, and maybe he's only like a 75 or 80 with the maintenance? Like he has to go back to some jobs every now and then. Sometimes you have to just have a talk with him and say, hey man, this needs to be done better. Would you rather a 95 communication and a 75 maintenance quality, or a 95 maintenance quality and a 75 handyman communication? And he's verified for me that, I mean, you know, it's hard to answer, but he said, yeah, basically I'd rather somebody who like makes mistakes semi-frequently, pisses tenants off every now and then, but just communicates like a god, than somebody who does his job really, really, really well, and I don't need to communicate much, but then who isn't good at communicating when I do need them to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been getting so many compliments on that, especially here lately. Like with this being, you know, the start of the third year, a lot of crazy things are happening, and the compliments are just flooding in, and along with a bunch more new clients. And the other thing that I've really started that's helped me with that is one of the things that you brought up a million times in your videos is, you know, just paying attention when you're at people's houses. Like just in the last month, you know, because we have the University of Florida here, so I have some clients who, you know, are landlords and rent to young students, and most of them, you know, happen to be female. I bounced by their house the other day, and 3 beautiful girls living in this house, and their front French doors going into their living room completely unlocked. The everything was, you know, the lock was set to lock, but nothing had caught, you know, the deadbolt didn't go through the strike blade. It was just buttoned up against it. And I see that now I pay attention to that. Every time I go to a house, I check all the locks. And this one lady, her back door was unlocked in a, you know, quasi-sketchy neighborhood. It had been unlocked for 30 years. She just never used it. Wow. And it was never sitting, sitting right in the lock. And that happens all the other day. And then this new client, I noticed her front door, they've been in their house a couple of years, didn't have any weather stripping. Their bedroom window was never fully closed and also was in the lock position. So could have just been opened by anybody at any time. And just those little tiny things. I'm not making money off it. I'm just saying, here, look what you got going on here. And they're like, oh my God, you know, you just became their new best friend after that. And
yes, sir.
Something so simple.
Yeah. So let me tell you about the Grand Canyon thing real quick.
I'm going to write this down.
And then we're going to move on. And this is, for the most part, of course, just going to all be about you. But I want you there. It's been a while. Oh, by the way.
Hey, look at that.
We have to meet somewhere because I still got to give this back to you. It's been hanging by my front door forever. So what we're doing is the next Handyman Camping Convention, which I'm renaming because it's a weird, I've always known it's a weird name, but I didn't care because it was so teeny tiny, and I'm trying to make it a little bigger now.
Yep.
But it's now going to just be called HCC 2026.
Okay.
And then the title of it's going to be Home Services Convention, because, you know, what we do is also what electricians do and plumbers do. It doesn't have to just be for handymen. But what we're going to do is we're going to do this at the Grand Canyon next year. North Rim on the 4th of July. And to be clear, the North Rim of the Grand Canyon is 8,000 feet elevation.
Okay.
So the 4th of July at the North Rim is beautiful ponderosa pine forest, highs in the 80s, lows in the 40s or 50s. So beautiful, beautiful weather. but I'm trying to make a big one for next year. And for full transparency, when I'm asking you to go get your ticket for it, and or extra tickets if you want to bring girlfriends, guests, whatever, friends, work partners, anything like that, if you want to bring any guests, those as well. They're free tickets for just the general admission. And what I'm trying to do, though, is I need to get everybody who's really sincerely interested in going to get registered, with the idea being I can then take the registrations and approach some of my sponsors to show them that there's true interest so I can get them to sponsor. Because what I've done is I've planned the event. I've planned it for what I'm hoping will be 100 handymen or electricians or whatever, but 100 potential business owners, maybe up to 300 or 400 people if you're, bringing your wives and kids and family members and friends and stuff. But I've already planned the damn thing out. It's going to cost me like 35 grand to put on, which I cannot do out of my own pocket. I'm willing to put a lot. I might end up spending like 10 grand out of my pocket when it's all said and done. I'm already putting money back for that potential scenario. But if I can get everybody, not fake signups, but everybody who's sincerely interested in going and who sincerely has a handyman business or wants to have one soon, that's going to be there for the actual convention side of things. If I can get everybody signed up, I can use those numbers to show the sponsors and say, hey, look, I already have, like right now I'm at, looks like 45 people signed up. So I can take that to the sponsors so they can see there's real interest and this is a real event and it's not just some guy saying, here's what I'd like to do in a year, give me some money. So if you could get your tickets, assuming you do want to go, and that you might actually be able to go, that would be awesome because that'll help me get the sponsors. When I get the sponsors, that'll help convince people like you that it's also a real event because they'll be like, oh, well, look, there's actual sponsorship. And then the sponsors can go, oh, look, there's even more guests. And then we can sort of build this up over the next year. But
my
the intent
son
is to do...
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
My son has, ever since I've come back from Tucson last year, he's been begging me to go to Arizona. And I don't know, I didn't show him that many pictures or anything. Maybe it was just the look on my face that I was happier when I got back, and because there was a big...
He just saw that it did some good.
There was a load. Just
well, and by the way, separately from the convention or any of my events, I hope you have an open invitation to come here anytime.
I appreciate
I would be happy to see you anytime that you're able to get down here with or without an event going on. And now I have the new Handyman headquarters, a little rental house that I'm using to run the Handyman business and the YouTube stuff out of. And I'm setting a guest room up there like this upcoming week.
Wow.
Emily's actually going to be, I'm going to give her a little budget and some money so she can go. It's going to be all thrift store stuff. We're not like buying everything. I'm going to buy a new mattress. I don't want to be giving anybody a used mattress to sleep on. But I'll get the new mattress. And then Emily's job is going to be to just decorate the room out. So there's going to be like a full kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, everything you need, like a little handyman Airbnb, basically, for you guys to stay in if and when you're able to come here to visit and do interviews. Like I've got, I don't know if you know Mike Neal. I know you're pretty busy. You're not in my live streams as much, but Mike Neal was at both handyman camping conventions that I've done so far. And he's in a lot of the live streams, but he's going to be coming down and staying there. He's going to be the first guest that I have booked to stay there because he's going to do his interview down here in person. But just know that you have an open invitation anytime you want to come down and say hi.
I would definitely take advantage of that because I just will. I've been wanting to go back for a while. And
Cool. Yeah, you get yourself here and I got somewhere to put you up at.
Good deal. No, I love that.
So let's dive back into the business. And you kind of gave me some backstory, so just to pick up where you left off there.
Okay, so made the full transition, gave up the career, 20-year career in fire.
And what year was this that you made the full transition?
Yep.
Or are you talking about right after the camp out?
No, well, this month will bring 2 years I've been out of the fire service, and it is the beginning of my third year of the handyman business. And
cool.
So, of course, the first year struggled. Second year was hit or miss, but this year is looking to be, pretty incredible. And
nice.
And so not be sweating gifts around Christmas time this year. I do not think so. I think I've already made.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh yeah, I think just in September, I think I've taken care of the rest of my year. It's been so good.
Yeah.
And
that's great, man. It feels so nice to finally get to that point. It's the not sweating, dude. Not sweating Christmas gifts. I can identify with.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times in my life, as a 44-year-old man now, there's been more than a handful of years where whether it was a girlfriend or a wife or whatever significant other, where I had to go, I have $176.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything else, and I want to just give this to you, and you decide what we do. Like, you pick the gift for the kid.
Yeah.
You figure, don't worry about my mom or my sister or your parents. Like, let's just focus on the few little kids in our lives and see if we can make $176 be something magical,
Yeah.
And then now I'm not spending thousands at Christmas, but it's nice to know that I can just say, hey, go figure out what would be nice for the people that we love, what you think they would like, come back to me with the numbers, and we either will make it happen or, maybe we'll drop the budget down a teeny tiny little bit. But to not stress it is just amazing.
It's a big deal. And I like to go level 10 on Christmas, not with the gift part. We do the making memory thing, not gifts. They get some gifts.
That's good.
And I give them the choice every year. I'm like, okay, we could either go on a ski trip to North Carolina, which is always yay, and or we could open a bunch of stuff that you guys are going to play with for 2 minutes, and then go back to your video games that you've had forever, and But it's always the memories, and this year proved it. I took them to North Carolina skiing, and on the way back, they both said, like almost at the same time, that this was the best trip we have ever had, and all just because it was just the guys. It was just me, my two boys, and I saved up for it. We didn't have to worry about. We got to do whatever we wanted.
Yeah. You find a little restaurant with good cornbread and biscuits, and you can just stop and just have some of it and not worry about, is it in the budget or not?
Yep. Nope. Everything was great. And so that's, so that's all I could ask for. And seems like we're going to be doing that for the foreseeable future. And as a matter of fact, we just came back from Oregon. I went to Oregon for 2 weeks at the end of their summer vacation. And
nice. That's great, man.
The business
in a year.
Yeah. I mean, I did not sweat it one bit. I was just like, my sister called and she's like, hey, why don't you come to Oregon? And I'm like, I could do that. A year ago, I would have been sad. I would have been probably angry that I couldn't afford to do it. And it's something that I really want to do. But now, because everything's working so well and I'm not stressed out, I'm not so busy where I'm miserable. Like, the way I structured my business, I didn't hit the ground like a lot of guys and just take all the business as fast as I can and just try and get my name out there, and nothing like that. Everything's word of mouth. No, I don't do any Google reviews. I do have a website that I haven't touched in like 2 years. But it's all just people just getting rave reviews from their neighbor or their coworker. I mean, my VA doctor is my newest client. I mean, that goes to show you like how desperate these people are for help. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's considered super unprofessional, but her first question to me at my physical the other day was, "Hey, I see you got a background in construction. Would you consider being my handyman?" I'm like, yes. I just did her.
People are desperate, man.
Yeah. And
it's hilarious.
And it was a great paying job, and it was my first doggy door. And an exterior wall. Took me no time at all, less than an hour. And less than an hour, and I think I charged around $500 for it. And
that's great.
And that's all labor. She had everything sitting there waiting for me. I just had to cut the hole, and luckily there was no obstacles like electrical or anything. And
so, that's cool.
But
given that things were not great about a year ago and things are great now, and you've talked quite a bit about just how much better it's gotten, would you mind just telling me, go down the list of whatever it is you can think of that you think made that difference?
Ooh.
Like what changes, what actual improvements or changes, even if it was just mindset, and philosophy and stuff. But what do you think changed from just in the last year that's taken you from being in a struggling place to being in a good place?
Well, again, I could refer back to the camp out. Like I went there expecting, with my list of questions, expecting for you or somebody to tell me that I needed, to look the part more, wrap the vehicle, do this. Like in my head, for some reason,
set up your Google business profile
Yeah.
and spend $200 a month on ads or
Yep.
Yeah.
And I ended up not asking any of those questions because it didn't seem relevant. But when I got back, all I did, because what I kept hearing over and over from people, at the camp out and stuff like that was, how just communication. So that's what I did. Every client was, when I was with them, they were the most important person in my life. It's like, I'm going to take care of you. I'm not even going to answer the phone. Like if I was working with you, you were it. I wasn't distracted. I made sure I did the best job possible. And that's when things really started to turn around. And then once I got that down, the next biggest thing was scheduling, getting back to people quick. And that made all the difference in the world, because then I started noticing, people didn't want to be left on the waiting for more than, most people don't want to wait more than a couple of days, let alone a week or two. Yeah. I feel like you lose them at like the week mark. If they haven't heard from you in a week, you're pretty
They're going to call around and find somebody who can do it quicker.
Yep. And they also want you to be there within, in most cases, within 2 to 3 weeks, max. So I really started just really focusing on my scheduling, making sure I got to people in time, not taking jobs and not wasting my time going to look at jobs that I already knew I wasn't going to take. That was a big one. That saved tons of time, because, a lot of those referrals were from people that I get a lot of referrals from. So I felt like I owed it to these people to at least go look at it. But then I thought, what a dumb idea. I know I'm not going to take it. And I'll just, when I see my buddy who's got the roofing business or whatever, I'll say thank you, for referring such and such person. But I knew I wasn't going to be able to look at their job or do their job. So I just didn't even look at it. Please continue to throw business my way as I do you. And that happened, and they were fine with it. But that was a big one, like really prioritizing. And I do everything, like you say a lot too, is geographically. Like if I, a lot of times, I'll have that extra little bit of time, and I'll just look at my my map or my phone and be like, oh, I got 5 potential jobs within a half-mile radius. I'm going to go look at them real quick, because everybody works from home now. You never have to worry about scheduling with people anymore.
Everybody's always home. Yeah.
It's so weird.
Just compared to I started this 5 years ago, and I'd say even just compared to 3 years ago, 3 to 4 at the most, even at the height of COVID, when everybody was supposed to be home, I feel like less people were home then than are home today. Every household today, there's at least one person who's just always there.
Yeah, 100%. If not both, I just can't. And the one.
So you started communicating better. You stopped wasting your time on looking at things that you're not going to end up actually doing, and you've gotten some scheduling efficiencies down.
Yep, I upgraded my Jobber subscription to where, and I noticed that too. Like once I started scheduling people through Jobber, that really made people take me more serious too.
Okay, just because they saw a professional platform behind you.
Yep. And because you always get, because I deal in a lot of high-end neighborhoods, and, you could always tell when you're talking to somebody whether or not they're fully taking you serious or not, or just waiting for you to leave or whatever. Yeah. So whenever I get that feeling, that person gets like high priority. It's like, okay, I'm getting you quoted and scheduled as soon as possible. And and 9 times out of 10, it works out just fine. And so, that's the biggest one. And forcing myself to just work harder, work later. I've been promising myself before I go to bed, I will do minimum, 5 estimates, get back to 5 people, maybe more, but like that's the minimum. Like in the evening when everything shuts down, knock out 5 things, 5 estimates, 5 callbacks, whatever.
5 items.
5 items.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for me, it just being me, that's fine. I got work going into December right now, and
well, correct me if I'm wrong too, but when you go to do those 5 items, that often turns into 10 or 15.
Yeah.
Like you really just need to tell yourself, I feel like if you tell yourself, let's just go do, even call it 15 minutes. Don't even say 5 items.
Yeah.
You just say, okay, this is the standard I'm going to hold myself to. At 6 p.m. every night, I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes, and I'm just going to do as much admin work as I can get done in 15 minutes. Before you know it, 45 minutes went by, you got a whole bunch of stuff done, and you're actually really happy with what you did, and you can turn that computer off and then go really enjoy the rest of your evening.
And that's what it's all about. That's the benefit that you take from it. You sleep better, you can relax better, you can fully commit to whatever it is you're putting your attention towards. And that motivates me to do it even more. So one night or more or even more than that, I might do even more because I feel that much better. And then maybe I can slack off in the morning, maybe go to the gym or sleep in a few extra minutes or whatever. But I definitely sleep a whole lot better the more that I put in the evening. And that's a big one. But
if you don't mind me completely and selfishly selling out, there's a link for Jobber in the description of this video, if I haven't said it a billion times in all my videos. So use my link to get your free trial, but we didn't plan that. So, all right, so you got that down. What else have you done that you think has contributed to running a better business?
Oh boy, let's see.
Did you have the uniforms previously?
No, I got them right before the camp out. And
okay, I felt like you either had just gotten some or were just about to get some.
I brought them there to to get everybody's opinion and everything, and I'm getting ready to do a new one, but because I do like it. But this one's gonna rip, because this is a weird thing. Like I thought one of the biggest things that was gonna sell me and make because being in people's homes, people want to feel safe and all that kind of stuff. And I thought one of my biggest attributes was going to be my history in the fire service, in the military, and people would be like, oh man, well, how can you not feel safe with this guy? And since whenever it does come up, people don't give it a thought. They just want to hear one thing, the price, and then you're actually going to show up. And so I was going down this whole rabbit hole of like, I was going to do a Maltese cross with like Chris List in the middle and some tools and American flags on the shoulders and and now I'm just like, none of that mattered. I'm just going to wear these until they wear out, and then maybe I'll get some more. But nobody cares about that's one of the biggest things I've learned is nobody cares about all the things that I thought people cared about. And
they just want you to show up and do a good job at a fair price, reliably.
Yeah, and you said that a million times, just like that. A good job at a fair price.
I still say it nonstop. Yeah. I'm never going to stop saying it. That's 90% of... You're in the top 10th percentile, just right away, top 10% of all handymen. 9 out of 10 of them are worse than you. If all you're doing is consistently showing up when you said you're going to show up, doing what you said you're going to do, and charging a fair price that matches the pricing that you told them you were going to be doing it for. That's it.
Yeah.
Top 10%, right there. So that's a 6-figure handyman right there.
Yeah. Ooh, here's another thing that I've been doing different is I've forced myself to go to any job, whether I'm intimidated by it because it might be too complicated and I've never done it before. Perfect example would be like commercial work, maybe. and or I get a bad feeling from the person, like they're gonna just be really hard to deal with, like we're gonna butt heads personality wise. Whenever I get those two warnings, whether complicated or crazy person, I force myself to go, because 99.9% of the time it works out complete opposite way I thought. The job is way easier, and the person ends up being cool and wants to spend a ton of money every time.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down. I might dive into something about that later.
Well, I mean, that's some Goggins philosophy right there too. He's like, the whole.
Well, it is.
You do. What
I can see that's what that is.
You do what you hate. To. I mean, it's therapeutic. I was doing that to get myself out of bed a couple of months ago when I was just really getting worn down. I remembered that whole philosophy. I was like, if you start your day off doing something you hate, or something hard, super uncomfortable, ice cold water, super hot water, read something complicated, just challenge yourself, way more than you normally would. That is the best way to start your engine and keep it going. It's amazing.
That's how I do my admin work now, is all in the morning. And it's for that same reason.
Yeah.
It's because it's the one thing out of my whole day that I really hate doing. It's the thing that I can't stand doing. And I used to tell myself, what I'll do is I'll do like these 3 things that I really want to do first, with the excuse, and I know it's an excuse internally, with the excuse of like, oh, well, that'll get me going.
Yep.
And then I'll do, once I'm going and awake and happy, then I'll be happy enough to do the thing I don't want to do. And then when that's done, I'll go back to the regular work. And it was all a lie, and it was all an excuse. The truth was, it was just another way to just keep finding good reasons to push it off and push it off and push it off until it was 6 p.m. and I didn't want to do it. And then I'm not going to do as good of a job at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired. It's the end of the day and I don't want to be doing it. So now I just, every morning, man, right here at this desk, I come in here before I do anything else. And it doesn't matter how much exciting stuff I'm trying to dive into. Before I do anything else, I open up Jobber, I invoice my jobs, I reply to anything, I open up my other clients' software, I look for new jobs, I get them put into Jobber, I do any scheduling I need to do, parts ordering. I have a list of just like what my general admin duties are daily. And first thing in the morning, I knock them all out, and I don't allow. I did it this morning before our interview, and I was excited for our interview. I thought, I want to go look through my text messages and my emails and remind myself of his history, or like if I know what his kids' names and ages are and stuff. And I was all excited because it's been a while since we caught up. And I just went, nope, that's not what you're doing, Ray. You're going to get on your computer and you're going to do all your admin work, and you're not going to go to that interview until all your admin work is done.
Yeah.
And I finished it up about 30 minutes before we started. And then I was texting you saying, hey, I might be running a little bit behind, but I think I'll be there on time.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal. I mean, I think the exact way that Goggins says it is, if you want to be happy, you have to do what you hate. And and it is perfect. And actually, and then he interviewed this one guy not too long ago, and there's the only part of your brain that you can control the growth of, that actually can grow, is I can't remember the science behind it, but by forcing yourself to do things that you don't like to do, one, you just get better at it and become a much more disciplined individual. But there's actually a part of your brain that actually grows bigger and improves all these other functions of your brain by doing that. And
oh, that's cool. I feel like I know what you're talking about, and I'm just brain farting on the name of it now.
Yeah, it's
the part of your brain that is sort of like the active controller of everything else, and you can sort of build that like a muscle by just deciding. It's essentially like your ability to focus and prioritize rather than to do whatever your brain just wants to make you do.
Exactly. And they found, and it goes into the science of like, after dissecting, these super amazing people's brains and finding that all of them had the same thing. They all had a really large size of whatever that was. And it all really was just self-discipline. And then the more you do it, the easier it gets, and continue to challenge yourself. And it's a way to keep the engine going. Way to start it, way to keep
that dude's a beast, man. Goggins is crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does. I can understand, just based on my history, I can understand how he could have become who he became when he was younger. I don't understand how he's been doing it this long consistently.
Yeah, he's almost
because at
60.
some point you just get tired, you know. Like I've been in positions when I built this business was one.
Yep.
There was a year and a half or so, almost 2 years that I can honestly say I've never worked harder in my life ever. Not ever. It was harder than Army basic training. You know what I mean? It was the hardest thing I ever did. But my God, I couldn't work that hard still. I couldn't, Goggins is better than me. I don't know how he can push himself that hard for that long.
I think he overgrew that portion of the brain because
He did.
the experts say that he didn't have knees in his 20s. You know, he had like no cartilage and no nothing. Now he's almost 60. He might even be 60.
And he's still running on them.
Yeah, and he just did it.
Like running 150 miles on them. Not even running, but outrunning everybody else on them.
Yeah, he just came in like 9th in this 240-mile race recently. And I'm like, oh, you look at him and he looks like he's dying. I mean, his joints are starting to like disfigure and stuff, but he's still putting the miles on him.
He's still doing it.
He overgrew that part a little too much, I think. That's amazing. But there's so much to learn from it, and you take a little tiny bit, which is pretty much what I did. I just took a little tiny bit of it, and it changes my world when I need it to.
It's amazing what that much of what he does will do for one person in their life. Yeah. And I'm in that boat right now. Like I need to. You know, I quit smoking at the camp out that you were at.
I was going to ask you.
I keep mentioning it on like every video because I'm just still proud of it. It's amazing to me that I quit. I didn't think I could.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm proud of me. I'm just grateful that it happened because I didn't think I could. But now all of a sudden, you know, I immediately put on like, I don't know how many pounds, at least 15, if not 25. And it's all in my gut.
Yep.
And I'm trying to do that same Goggins self-discipline thing, except I don't have it the way he has it. So I can't. I did do, by the way, a 48-hour fast. It was more than 48 hours, actually, but I call it 48 because I want to bring it. I'd rather underestimate it than overestimate it. So it's a 2-day fast, basically. Started at like 2 p.m. on one particular day, and then I ended it the third day later at like 5 p.m. So it ended up being, you know, a little more than 48 hours. And that was pretty neat. Took a lot of willpower, but I mean, my goal was to go 5 days.
Yeah.
And instead I made it. Goggins would have gone, he would have shot for 5 and done 15.
Yeah. That's once you get through the delirium phase. I did it once. I made it a couple of days and then I caved after, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days, but I think it was like day 2, like when you just, like your sugar's all messed up and you're having, you know, I think probably.
Day 2 was bad.
Yeah.
It was the day that I quit the diet was the day where I was like, I was trying to work, you know. In fact, I was trying to put together.
Yeah.
I was trying to put together the package for these interviews.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but I had a pretty decent like package set up.
You did.
And I was working with ChatGPT.
Yep.
Coming up with the different PDF documents, analyzing, like, I don't want to give you so much info that it's all diluted and it doesn't mean anything because there's too much.
Yep.
I don't want to give you too little info and then there's no value to it. I don't want to mix everything together. I'm deciding how many documents to make, what goes in them. You know, did my research and decided to use Calendly for the calendar, you know, that you booked yourself on. I had to set all that up. It was a lot of work going back and getting everybody's names and figuring out the first, some people I only had first names for. I didn't even have a last name and what their email, just all this stuff. While I was in like day 2 of this fast, specifically the latter half of day 2 of the fast. And I'm like, man, I don't remember people when they fast talking about their brain's not working right on day 2, especially for me, because if I just go keto, my brain works great on day 2. If that's all I do is just go keto, so I'm eating food, you know, but it's just protein and fat mostly. Day 2, my brain is like, Chris, I'm a machine mentally on day 2. But the fast day 2 was just like, it wasn't a headache exactly, but I just didn't feel like I was all me.
Yeah, just super brain fog and can't access whatever you're trying to find in your brain. And yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being
So
so
that's
bad.
what I'm working on now in Goggins' direction, is just trying to get that discipline for diet and metabolic health.
Yeah. It's not easy. I'm fortunate because I've pretty much lived the same way my whole life. I've always ate the same, which is pretty good. I've always, exercised. I was, fire department, going from military to the fire department, I've been the same weight almost my entire life, within 2 or 3 pounds, cool. Pretty much, if that tells you anything. So I've been fortunate in that part. And
nice.
But yeah, a lot of my friends that, man, because everybody likes to do, I mean, you're at least doing it smart, because most people, they just want to do that, that lose that weight quick, and then let it come back on over a period of couple of years, and then they're miserable. It's the most unhealthy way to do it. And your body never has a set point. And my body's so locked into this weight that even if I give up working out for a while, or go on binge eating or drinking or whatever, like, I'll still stay the same weight. I might pack on a belly, but I'll always stay the same weight.
That's interesting.
But I'll bounce right back. Couple of days of of exercising again, and right back into it. And and I need that. Cool. Well, that's another thing I can mention. It's like one of the things that I changed a lot is I am, on the days that I get up and I exercise before I go to work, I am exponentially more productive. I mean, that's when, like, because I don't take lunches anyway. I work through my lunch so that I can quit earlier, or my lunch break will be
I'm the same way.
Yep. And my lunch break will be, going and knocking out a couple of estimates, in the area. And then, but those days that I get some exercise in that morning, and it doesn't even have to be a lot. I just have to push myself to the point where I shock my body. Like, even if I just get down and do as many push-ups as I possibly can, like getting to that point where your body says stop, and going just beyond it. Once you hit that, it just resets something in your brain and your body. It's just like, okay, it's go time, and then it lasts all day. So like, when I do that, I don't want to stop, and I'll drop my kid off at baseball practice. I'm like, oh, I got a couple of jobs nearby, and I'll go make $300, $400, $600 while my son's at baseball practice, doing random, hanging a couple of pictures or this or that. And my son's always digging through my wallet. He's like, Dad, how come you always have cash? And I was like, oh, that was just, I was on my way to the grocery store, and I was running ahead, and
it just shows up.
Yeah, I was like, I just be driving through a neighborhood. I was like, oh, I remember that lady wanted a picture hung. Pop in real quick, and that's what I do when I'm bored on the weekends. That's another thing. On the weekends when I'm bored and I don't have my kids, if I want to do something and there's not much going on, or if I want to be productive, I'll just look at my phone, and there's always a million different people there just waiting to have little things done.
That's so great.
And
so great.
I'm like, well, what do I want to make today? And then I'll go ahead and knock those out. There's always something in there. And
where are you at in Florida?
North Florida, Gainesville.
Okay.
Gator country. Right. Yep.
I'm just going to try to keep that in mind. I get such contradictory views from people in Florida, from handymen in Florida who email me. And it seems like it's always one end of a spectrum. It's either people are emailing me and their problem is there's so much work and they don't know how to schedule the work efficiently, or they're missing too many phone calls. It's like they're so overwhelmed with people asking them to do stuff that they need help figuring out how to package it all together and manage it. And then on the other end, in Florida, it's people saying, there is no work here. Nobody needs anything. The state won't allow me to even touch anything. I can't do electrical and plumbing, but nobody wants to pay $100 an hour for hanging pictures and shelves and stuff. And I'm like, this is so weird, because I never get anybody in the middle in Florida. It's always, I'm overwhelmed, or there's nothing anybody wants me to do that I'm legally allowed to do.
That's funny, because I'm kind of that middle ground person, because Gainesville is probably exactly the same size as Tucson. 150,000, 200,000, max when the students are here?
I think Tucson's. I think if you include, just FYI, if you include our little suburbs and everything, you know, all the people who like do their shopping and stuff in Tucson, it's probably close to 1 million people.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know why I messed that one up.
I don't know what the official Tucson population is, but when you include all the, you know, like Tucson itself consists of like Oro Valley, Tucson, City of South Tucson, Vail, Picture Rocks, you know, down south of us, just a few minutes down the interstate is like Sahuarita, and then you got Sonoita. So when you pull everybody together, I think we're like 850,000 or something.
Yep.
I could be very wrong too, but I think we are.
But still, like, I'm still, you know, I'm still in the middle. Like, I'm not in a big city. I'm in a larger town. And I'm still, you know, getting these numbers that are, you know, still easily doing, you know, I mean, on a bad day, I'm doing $100 an hour, I guess. You know, I try to shoot for 1,000 to 1,200. Ideally, I shoot for 1,000 to 1,200 a day profit. Do I ever?
That's great.
That, you know, almost never happens. But because I shoot for it, I never have less than a $600 or an $800 day. You know,
and that's where I'm happy at. Is if I'm going out and doing a full day of work.
Yep.
Just as long as I'm putting $600 in the bank.
Yep.
For a hard day, it can be a hard day. I don't mind that it's hard.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm always talking about. I would rather, if I had to choose, because I feel like everybody gets so obsessed with, you know, $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
That everybody forgets that you can put together $1,000 days.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really any good for you if it's only once a week.
Yeah.
I'd rather put together 5 or 6 $600 days, consistent, solid $600 days.
Yep.
And knowing that I charged a fair rate to make that $600 so that client is not only happy I did the work, but happy with the pricing, so much so that they want to come back and refer me out. And I'd rather have consistent $600 days every day than $1,000 day here and there, but then $200 days, you know, otherwise.
Yeah. And that's another thing I could share too, is that was a big problem that I was having too. And I always felt that I had a hard time charging more than 500, 600 a day. And I think it came out in my demeanor and my voice and my appearance. I wasn't confident enough when I was asking for that. Or wasn't responding correctly. But ever since I like moved that number up, and you know, when I shoot somebody a quote for 600 a day or whatever, you know, like I'm stone faced. I've seen way more
just like, this is the price.
Yep. And I'm just like, and so that's been a big deal. And also, like, I'd like to stay in, because I live in a small town outside of the bigger town of Gainesville and stuff like that. So I love to be able to stay in my town or some of the neighboring towns. And it's nice to know that I could get, for those, I'll do between $400 and $600 a day, just because I'm working in my neighborhood. I'm working in my town, getting to know my people. Oh, this is funny. You know, just when things start going great, they start going great. Randomly the other day, I'm finishing up this bathroom remodel, small bathroom remodel, and the electrician walks in and he starts asking me questions, and never met me before. I never met him before, and he's like, "Hey man, I've been looking for somebody to take over 200 of my handyman accounts. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Of course. What's the catch?" And he's like, "No catch. I just want to retire, and I've been watching your work here the last couple of days. And nobody does work like this that I know. Would you take these for me?" And I was like, so 200 clients just landed right in my lap.
Yeah. That's outstanding.
On a whim. And
does he have them in electronic format where you can upload them into Jobber as clients?
Probably.
So that they get included in your, well, I don't know if you use the marketing features. Have you seen where you can send out the mass emails?
No, not yet.
Okay, they do have that where you can send mass emails out to all your clients. So if you ever decide to use that feature, if he can get you the client's information so you can stick them in as clients, then they'll get included in that.
Okay, right on.
But
yeah.
it sounds like you don't need to anyways, because you're just staying busy. You're probably not trying to drum up extra work.
No, but I mean I had a slow point earlier this summer. I ended up taking, actually it worked out good. I mean, I always have some place to go, but I kind of had maybe it was July where I was just like, oh boy, this is going to be an okay summer, but it's not going to be a great summer. And so I ended up taking some bigger jobs. I did a full master remodel and a full and a small bathroom remodel in the same house, and I got to work in the air conditioning all summer.
Yeah, nice.
So
that was important.
That was amazing. That's another
That's
thing.
the difference between me wanting to charge $600 a day or $900 a day.
Yeah, that's the other thing I've been paying attention to too. It's just like, if I'm going to work hard, I got to pay attention to my health, to, my surroundings. I'm like, so now that I did that this summer, every summer I'm going to try and make sure my butt is in the air conditioning, because, you can't work for more than 2, 3, 4 hours in this heat and humidity. You just can't keep the fluid in your body, and so if I keep that up, and because I'm coming home with energy, I can hang out with the kids. But if I'm working 6 hours, 8 hours in the sun, I got nothing left for anybody, and I'm probably going to be bitter.
It's a big difference. It is.
Yeah.
Emily will tell you, I would somewhat disagree with her. I don't think I came home sick. I guess it depends on how you define sick. But the years that I spent building this business, like the hardest years, when it was where it finally got to, where I was happy with keeping it, but to get to that point, those couple years, she'll tell, because I didn't have AC. Every penny I made went back into the business.
Yeah.
And to me, having AC is not about the business. That's about my comfort. It doesn't grow anything, doesn't feed my kids.
Yep.
So I didn't get any AC for a couple years. And Emily will tell you that I came home sick every day. I think I just came home exhausted. But she would describe it. She's like, I could see it. She's like, your face would just be white, like with no color in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I came home sick like every day, all summer long, for a few summers in a row.
Wow, that's insane. I've had people say that to me. I've had people sporadically say that to me. They're like, "Hey man, you sick?" I'm like, "Why would you say that?" I was kind of taken back by it. I'm like, "Why?" But it was on days like that.
Luckily, you were probably just also delirious enough from the heat stroke to not notice that you were sick too.
Yeah, that's for sure. Good Lord.
It's bad. Florida's bad. Tucson's bad. We're both down. We're probably at about the same latitude, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. You just guys have the dry heat. We have a little bit. We had a heat spell this summer that was god awful. Luckily, I was in Oregon for most of that. But it was like the heat index was like probably what you're used to, 110, 115, and it was a drier heat. But that was horrible. But on an average summer, for 4 to 5 months out of the year, it's 100 to 105 with 90% humidity, and
that humidity will kill you too.
It's just
there's bad stuff to say about dry heat, and there's bad stuff to say about humidity. But if I have to be super honest with myself, as much as I'd like to win the title of it's hotter here than it is there, the truth is, if the temperature is the same, that high humidity, I'd rather 90%. I'd rather 10% humidity than 90% humidity. They're both evil in their own ways, but
it is
I can't breathe in 90% humidity. It feels like I'm breathing underwater and I'm not getting oxygen.
Exactly, and you're wet all day. Yeah, you're just soaked all day long,
head to toe.
You have chafing issues like between your legs. You get sores on your feet from the just always being wet. Your armpits rub, or get raw from rubbing, and it's a mess. But yeah, that's from this summer on out. I'm gonna try and really stay indoors as much as I can.
It's a good goal. It's a good goal.
Right, I gotta my dog out real quick. She's driving me crazy. My door's like.
All right, well, I'm gonna go grab some coffee then. I'm gonna write down the time so I can just edit out our break.
Okay.
We're at 59 minutes already, man.
Look at that.
You know you like somebody when you talk to them for an hour and it doesn't feel like it. I'll be right back with some fresh coffee too.
Sounds good. Come on, Kiki. Get your butt out here.
Taking first break. You can't do that, buddy. Remember? You got in trouble. Mom tried to take you and you had an attitude and then she had to say no. I know. But you know what? You can try again next time, though. And then when she tells you to get in the car and get your seatbelt on, you can just do that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's going to take you like 100 more times.
Oh, 100 more times?
100 million more times.
100 million times?
Yeah, it's a lot of times.
Oh, what? Look, only 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I did with this.
That's 10.
Wow.
I got to put you down. Mom's making some more bread, huh?
Both one is so good. Both one is so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's nothing more fun than running in a circle, man. That's all right. There we go. You gonna stir it for me?
Yeah.
Nice. Great job. Thanks. Oh, careful. There we go. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. There we go. All the way.
I want to play slide.
I saw that you had some more going.
Repairing these guys.
Cool. I love you. Oh. All right, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Cool. How's your back doing, by the way? Mine always hurts, but I have to be honest. It hurts because I'm sitting in a chair more these days.
Yeah.
Not because I'm working too hard.
You know, that's kind of funny. I take really good care of my back. My back feels a million times better since I left the fire service because I was always in the recliner, sitting, and recliner's just horrible for you anyway. But I started doing the moves method. It's a bunch of Australians that take you through a bunch of workouts, and it's just like it gets you back in like the squat position, and just kind of retrains your body to use it like it was supposed to be used, and to stress it the way it was supposed to be used. And but typically, I've never really had a lot of back problems, especially once I started just taking care of my core, and now with this moves method plus the stuff that I already do, everything stays strong. It has to, because I'm doing everything. If I go do a tile job and I haven't done tile in a month, that's a bad next couple of days. Your hamstrings and back are just screaming. So I kind of have to be in shape to, one, stand up to whatever injury may or may not happen if I, what happens to me most often is I forget about that last rung on the ladder when I'm coming down from being halfway up the ladder painting or something like that. And I always mess up my feet or my ankles or my knees because I always forget there's that last rung. And
yeah, you think you've made it to the ground, but it turns out there was one more step that you needed first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so after I sprained my ankle a couple of weeks ago, I really paid attention to. I really have to pay attention because I'm like, man, now that I'm this busy, if I have to go out for an injury, I'd be starting all over, 6 months from now.
I was going to ask you about your work-life balance, but I feel like you've kind of answered that already. You have a really good balance, don't you? You're not in a position where you're forced to work nonstop and missing time with family. You're basically available whenever you can be available, whenever they're available.
Oh yeah, I make every baseball practice. I coach my son's football team, and basketball, and I'm there for everything. And like I said, if I want to, like if I don't feel like sitting at a 2-hour baseball practice, I'll go knock out some handyman jobs just on the fly, Yeah. And but yeah, it's a really good balance, and I'd say even it's probably more favored towards the family than it is the business.
That's great too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was just interviewing Mark Siebert yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about again the work-life balance, especially specifically as it relates to just having this. And it seems like everybody, honestly, that I've ever interviewed or talked to much that is trying to have a handyman business, it's mostly fathers.
Yep.
And for almost all of us, a lot of it has to do with just wanting more time with our families, just because if you're at an hourly job, then you're just in a position where you kind of have to work all the time.
Yep.
Just to make enough money, and you don't even see your family. But oh shoot, where was I going? Am I just going to fully brain fart everything I was just about to talk about? Oh, we're talking about that being one of the main goals.
Yep.
And then furthermore, a lot of what we do that's good, that's led to our success, if we're being honest, is based on fear. And it's the fear of, if I'm not doing this, which provides me with the access to my family because I can set my own hours, if I fail at this, then I have to not only go back to doing something I don't want to do, but I have to go back to not seeing my family again.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if does that play in with you, or do you not have any fear of if everything crashes and burns? Like if I don't do enough, if I don't stay on top of things, if I don't communicate well, if I don't do all the things I need to do all the time, I'm scared that everything could crash and then I'm just not going to see my family anymore.
It was like that for a bit. It's not like that anymore, because I know now that I will never go back to doing what I was doing. If for some reason, and I've already made peace with this, so I put it to bed. I was like, if for some reason I do fail at this, somehow, just lose my traction and the business goes, kaput. I have made perfect peace with just hitting the reset button, selling my house, gathering all my assets, looking at going back to the drawing board and saying, hey, what am I interested in doing? And it could be something, and I've already told myself I'm completely open to it being something completely opposite of anything that I've ever even thought of. Like,
that's great.
God knows what, but at least I'll have a nest egg. I'll have, a little bit, if I sell my house, I have a little startup, still have my tiny little piece of my pension from the fire department. So I have that. That's my kind of like security blanket, and I'm okay with starting over. I already know
and that's confidence right there. That's 100% what confidence is right there. It comes from just understanding, not just understanding, but you have to understand that you, in fact, are capable of just about anything.
Yeah.
In order to believe what you believe. And it's not about you, and it's not about me either. Everybody is. I sincerely believe everybody is capable of just about anything. It's like when I was a kid and my mom said, you can be whatever you want to grow up to be if you put your mind to it. I feel like it's an actual true statement to make in the world with a few caveats, but it's a true statement to make. And if more people understood it, there'd probably be more success. There'd be more small businesses because people wouldn't be afraid to try.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're finding that out now. Just use professional sports or higher level sports as an example. You know, they've already learned that talent does not beat hard work and perseverance.
Yep, not at all.
Nope. And why should it be any difference in the work world? You know,
yep. You better believe Kobe has shot as many baskets as anybody could ever try to shoot. He's stood there and done this so many damn times.
Yeah.
He wasn't born Kobe.
Yeah. And I listened to a story about that recently where, you know, after games that he won and scored 50 points, you know, he's out there on the court for an hour or two after the game, you know, before he goes home to his family, still practicing by himself.
Yep.
You know, I forget, maybe it was LeBron or somebody like that who was being interviewed, and they were talking about that, that's how hardworking that dude was. But that's it. And especially in this world, you know, in the handyman world or anything, you could just pick anything and go after it. And handyman was a perfect example for me. I knew nothing about the business side, didn't know half of the work side. Like, you know, I was always shying away from things that I'd never done before. Like recently, I took on somebody ordered a Murphy door from 𝗪𝗙𝗪𝗏.com, and it showed up a couple months late, broken in a million pieces. They were distraught. It was the final piece to their dream house and stuff like that. And they begged me to build them one. And I was like, I never did anything like that. Sounds complicated. Looked at it. Yeah, it's somewhat complicated, more time consuming than anything. But I took it on and it came out beautiful. And I continue to do that. I love when people bring me a challenge. One, I know I'm going to make money. Two, it's different and it's fun. And it's one more thing I could add to my wheelhouse, you know?
Yeah.
And so now when I get bored or if I have extra material lying around, like I have 2 or 3 more Murphy doors ready to go out there that just need to be painted.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. I got a 30-inch door, a 32-inch door, 36-inch door ready to go.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, because it's the jam and everything. It's all just like installing any other door. And,
that's neat.
But yeah, it's
are they inventory or what?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they're sitting here. I just had, because when I first started doing them, I started ordering all kinds of different hardware, not knowing what would be the best hardware. So I had all this hardware sitting around. You know, go do a couple of I do a lot of shelving jobs. You know, people want like floating shelves in their pantry or something like that. So I always have leftover plywood. So when I get enough built up, I know I got hardware sitting here. I'll just go ahead and, you know, slap one together. And that's, you know, and when that time comes, you know, that's each door is about $4,000 installed, you know?
Yeah.
And
I just remembered just now, this all came flooding back to me. Your goal, I think a year ago when we were talking at the camp out, your goal is actually to do more of like the fancy problem. When I say fancy, sometimes I say fancy as a derogatory term.
Yeah.
But I believe I'm not right now. Your goal was to do more of the interesting problem-solving sort of...
Like Pinterest.
You weren't wanting to do more like what I do, like toilets and sinks and doors and stuff. You were wanting to do more of the specialty, let's figure this out, like custom work, weren't you?
Yeah, like Pinterest project-y kind of stuff.
That's what you said, Pinterest. There you go. You described it as like Pinterest projects.
Yep. And they
cool.
come around.
And you find yourself actually doing a lot of that now.
No, that was... that kind of came in a wave. That was like, I ended up working for this lady, you know, and it turns out she was trying me out, you know, without telling me who she was. Her and her husband were realtors, and and everybody in their family was a realtor here in town. So they hired me to turn their entryway closet into like a really fancy bench with, you know, nice decorative shelves and all this stuff. And then when I did that, then they kept coming up with all this other stuff for me to do. And then they connected me with the person with the Murphy door. And then I did a really nice pantry. And then I did some custom window sills, like made out of recycled 2-inch cedar. But then it kind of died after that, but I got tons and tons of work. But I was thinking along those lines at the time, but now I love doing everything. I love installing toilets. I love going and painting a random room. You know, I love, this week I'm putting together a bassinet and a crib for somebody. You know, and I just love, as long as it's variety, I'm happy. And I never get burnt out on anything. And
that's nice.
Yeah. So
are you using any helpers at all ever? It doesn't seem like you are.
It's sporadically. Funny story. I was leaving a handyman job a couple of weeks ago, and the 75-year-old man waves me down in the street, and because he saw me carrying tools and stuff in and out of his neighbor's house. And he's like, "Hey, by any chance, are you a handyman?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I am." And he's like, "If you ever need help," he's like, "if you need somebody with a strong back and a weak mind, I'm your guy." And
that's great. And a good attitude.
Yeah. And I'm like, "I could tell you're strong." He was literally 75 years old. Well, it turns out the next week I was doing a commercial job. I was doing a countertop and 3 shelves above that countertop, about 90 linear feet of that. And I needed help. And my helper backed out on me. So I called this guy. He helped me the whole week, worked harder than anybody I've ever worked with before.
Nice.
I mean, on his hands and knees, vacuuming every little crumb. I mean, he had a million different screws to put in. Never just worked like crazy.
Man, that generation is one of the best generations in terms of just work ethic and trying hard and trying to make themselves useful and wanting nothing more than just like a fair exchange of value.
Oh yeah, and I tried paying him. He wouldn't tell me what he wanted, so I gave him just because he was so awesome. I think I tried giving him $30 an hour, and he handed me half of it back. And he also, his son-in-law just retired from the MLB, and he gave me something. He gave me half my money back, and he gave me an autographed baseball card of his son, who's a pitcher. My son's a pitcher.
Cool.
And I was like, man, but this guy's gene pool was crazy. Every single person in his family was either a professional athlete or an Olympian. And so, but
that's cool.
Yeah, those are kind of I pick up little things like that, and the older the better. Young people, I handed a kid a paintbrush the other day, and it was like I handed him a slate of hieroglyphics and asked him to read it. You know, it was like, yeah. So yeah, primarily just me.
Okay. Are you planning on growing, or are you really happy where you're at and planning on, because I know you do have, like you mentioned, a little bit of a pension and stuff already too. So are you trying to grow, or are you happy and just sort of like enjoying where things have gotten to for a while?
No, I am waiting for my opportunity to grow. I'm always have feelers out for a young person, guy or girl, who truly wants to learn the craft, who wants to generally make something out of themselves. That's who I was. That's how I learned all this stuff. And so when I get some high school kid or just out of high school or whatever, who wants to take it seriously, who I could tell hopefully isn't just going to waste my time and take my skills and go, eventually that's what you should do. I could even get him his contractor's license if he wanted to, because I still maintain, my license. And but that's it. Unless something like that comes along, probably not. But I would like to.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
I see you're hiring. You're conducting interviews, right? I thought I saw that in a video recently.
I mean, I want to soon, but I'm not right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of if you may have seen a video if there was a point where I was.
The one that I saw,
probably
you were describing what you're looking for, and that it sounded like you were at least getting ready to take like applications or something.
Yeah, I was. There was a time when I was preparing, when I was sort of trying to figure out how I would do my hiring. And that was partly because on the YouTube channel itself, I had just, kind of like the handyman business, certain types of jobs come in waves.
Yep.
And I had this wave of people, just a lot of people asking about hiring, which in hindsight is probably because it's probably the busy time of year.
Yep.
Seems like it was actually like spring when everything gets busy. So that's probably when people think about hiring. But I had been thinking about hiring. Other people had been asking me about it. And I thought, let me sit down and really figure out like what qualities I'm going to be looking for. But to be fair, though, I'm not hiring at the moment. I want to get, and I don't know how much you're able to keep up with the channel because you have a very full, and positive life with your family and your business. But I'm building a lot of kits and systems. I have my new handyman headquarters, which, that's what you saw. That's what you saw, I bet. I got my handyman headquarters.
Okay.
Because that's the first step to me hiring somebody.
Okay, gotcha.
Previously, it was my son working for me, and I didn't mind my son showing up at my house at 8 o'clock every morning.
Yep.
It's because it's family. But I recognize that if I want to hire soon, I can't have an employee showing up at my house 8 o'clock every morning.
Yep.
Because you lose the privacy of your house.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like a private space anymore. So I knew the first step was getting any other place. And so that's what I did. I went and got my rental. And now I've got all of my tools. Not all. I still have like my filming wall over here. But I've got all of my tools and materials, and everything for the business is now in the handyman headquarters. So that's step one taken care of. Step two, which you've probably seen at least somewhat in my videos, is I'm building kits and processes.
Yep.
And I'm really focused on these kits because when I hire, I do not want to hire an experienced handyman.
Yep.
I do not. I think, and don't get me wrong, I'm the exception to the rule. You're the exception to the rule. A lot of guys that make up our community actually are the exception to the rule. But the rule is anybody who's really good at trades is not really good at most of the other things that you need to be good at to be a good employee and or business owner. Those two things don't go together most of the time. So what I want to do is get these kits built. I want to use my jobs list that's like, 500 items long.
Yep.
And I want to highlight every job that I think I could train any high school kid to do. And I don't plan on hiring a high school kid, but that's the qualification. If I feel like I could hire any 16-year-old boy to do this job,
yep,
then I think I could train anybody in the world to do that job.
Yep.
And then I want to put together kits just for those jobs, the ones that are very much standardized, like a toilet fill valve. I can guarantee you that if I got a work order today that said toilet constantly running, I know what the solution is already. It's a fill valve. It's not even the flapper. People say fill valve and flapper. I throw a flapper on anyways, but it's never the flapper. It's always the fill valve.
Yep.
So those jobs that are very predictable, very standardized, that are, how long they take, exactly what materials you need. I want to pick those jobs, make sure I have kits and processes and inventories built for those jobs. I want to have the inventory for the van, the tools and materials that stay in the van. I want to have an inventory. I want to have them standardized and set in stone. I want to have the EDC bags standardized, set in stone. The kits for the jobs standardized and set in stone. And I want to hire a good person, just a good employee. You know what I mean? Just generally speaking. And then train them how to do a pop-up stopper on a bathroom sink, how to do a fill valve on a toilet, how to change a doorknob and a deadbolt and rekey it with a quick set smart key security system.
Yep.
Train all of that up. Have a website for homeowners, not for property managers, believe it or not. That's the direction I'm going to be going. Property managers need you to be the everything guy. Homeowners just need you for the one task. So create a website, do the SEO and optimization and the Google ads and all that, drive traffic to the website, use the Jobber AI receptionist to answer the phone calls and book the jobs, use the Jobber online booking feature for everybody else on the website to book the jobs if they don't prefer to call. So there's very little even person-to-person contact with the client, and just have a set list of jobs with set pricing that anybody can be trained to do, and kind of McDonald's the handyman industry.
Yeah.
And you'll still need all the handyman for all the interesting stuff. All of that, my guys aren't going to build any Murphy doors ever. That's not in their wheelhouse. They're going to replace faucets and put on doorknobs and deadbolts and basic stuff like that. So the next step that I'm at now, before I ever even look at hiring, is just simply finishing these kits. It's going through my list of jobs, cementing in which ones I'm going to do and which ones I'm not going to do, and then getting these kits and processes built. The good news is I'm not in a hurry to do it. Like, everything is nice and smooth right now. So I don't need this to happen next month. I just need to always be making some amount of incremental progress towards it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I've been trying to catch up on a lot of your videos, and I've been watching a lot of your kit videos, and just a lot of stuff. And even when I'm not watching them, I typically will have them playing in the background, because even on your most basic live stream, and there's not a whole lot going on, I'll still learn something. It's usually from somebody who called in with something strange. I'm like, oh shit, that happened to me last week. I should have handled it that way, but I'll always learn something. So at the very least, I'll listen to a couple a week, at least just in the background. But but I've been,
and that's how I do all of my YouTube too. I'm never looking at the screen. I'm always just listening.
Well, I do for your kits though, because that's what I've been really focusing on now that I've increased my organization of like the scheduling and the business part. Now I'm finding it so much more rewarding and gratifying, and I'm just happier at the end of the day if I just go one day where I didn't have to spend an extra 15 minutes looking for something. I'm like, that ruins my day. I'm like, I've been doing this long enough where this shouldn't be an issue.
Oh yeah. Do you hate yourself like I do? I can go from like feeling like a normal person to just loathing everything about me, because I have to look for my tape measure a second time in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, you don't even deserve a handyman business.
No, I do it all the time. And I broke my screwdriver in my tool belt the other day, and I'm like, why do I not have a backup screwdriver? I was so pissed. I go to my truck, and the one that I had in my truck in my backup toolkit was like, the last time I used it, I broke like one of the pieces off of it. So it wasn't a real Phillips. It was a third of a Phillips.
Yeah, it was a Trillips.
A Trillips. And I was like, now I have no screw. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so I've been getting a lot out of those kits. And, my kits are so crappy. A lot of my kits have not changed since my father owned some of these tools, in the 90s. Like my hammer drill kit looks exactly like it did when he bestowed it to me, and so I like going through everything, because that's one thing that I have no inventory of. It's like I don't have enough Tapcons at all, and you always need those things for something.
Yep, exactly. That's what those kits are great for. Like I've got you. I don't know if you've seen it, but I have a kit called Masonry Anchors.
Haven't watched it yet.
The kit is it's lots of different. Well, I don't think I have a video on my Masonry Anchors kit.
Okay.
But I have a Masonry Anchors kit. I mean, I've probably showed it. I've done a couple live streams, I think, where I just sort of like am going through all my stuff and reorganizing, so you can see a lot of my kits that way. But that Masonry Anchors kit, was built because of exactly what you said, because as a handyman, you're like, I'm gonna need Tapcons. There's a handful of Tapcon types that I know I'm gonna need. I know I'm gonna need some very tiny ones to go into bathroom walls on buildings that are made of cement or stucco or block or whatever for the toilet paper holder. I'm gonna need itty bitty little Tapcons for that. I'm gonna need Tapcons to go into the 1-inch square tubing that makes up the frame of a gate that goes between like the side of the house and the block wall from the front to the back. I know I'm going to need those. I'm going to need like 3-inch TAPCONs for that. You know there's stuff you're going to need, and you've been without it 7 different times. You had to stop what you were doing and run to Ace Hardware to buy some. And every one of those times you told yourself, I wish I kept some of these on stock. And I did. I finally just built an inventory and a little kit that's just masonry anchors. And it's got other types of anchors, not just TAPCONs. It's like all of the anchors that I ever actually need to use personally in my business in masonry. And then, you know, once you build that kit, you're done. You've got it, and you can put it to the side, and you can focus on the next one.
Yeah, that's a big one. And because I too many times I was having the problem where I was just, you know, I was 1/16 of an inch off on, you know, on the drill bit, you know, and you know, try driving your TAPCON, you know, that's too small. If you just don't have the screw that lines up with the bit. And that was happening all the time, to the point where whenever I would go into the store, I was buying their kit. So like there was no messing it up. It's like, oh, here's the drill bit for these TAPCONs, and I'm like, this is so stupid. It's not economical. And now I have 1,000,000 3/16 bits and no 3/8, and you know.
Exactly.
Yep. But I'm constantly working towards that. The problem that I have, and you probably helped me out with this, is I can never find the right storage container for a lot of these kits. Like, I don't like the backpacks. I don't like a lot of the boxes. It just seems like either the idea is there and the quality is shit, or it's just super insane. Those backpacks are unbelievably insane expensive. And so I don't know. What do you gravitate towards when you're building a lot of these kits, these smaller kits?
Well, the first batch of kits I built, I used both times it ended up being Husky. But the first batch I built, I really didn't have any money to be building kits with to begin with.
Yeah.
So they were like a really cheap $15 Husky, you know, box, just like that wide, you know, something like that, and 4 inches tall, I think.
Yep. I have
and but they could, like, you know, stack on top of each other. So the first ones were that. And to be fair, those were not, I wasn't even trying to build kits. What I was trying to do at that time, what morphed into kits, was actually just inventory. All I was actually trying to do, because I recognized before I ever built any kits, I recognized that I needed inventory, that it was the trips to Home Depot that were really sucking all the potential out of my day.
Yeah.
So at first it was just, they were just to put the extra parts in and have a label on it so I could find the extra parts quickly. It was after that that I realized I should turn these into full-blown kits, so that it's not just a place to find a spare if I have a spare. It should be a planned kit where I sit down and I go, okay, if I want to build a kit for outlets, let's sit down. By the way, I use ChatGPT when I do this a lot too. But I'll open ChatGPT and I'll use my own brain and ChatGPT and go, okay, I want to build a kit for outlets. Let's brainstorm all the different types of outlets that we might use. Because you might just think, oh, outlets are outlets.
Yeah.
Well, they're not. You've got the round, whatever you call it. It's got, you know, the 2 round hole. You got like the round hole outlets. And then you've also got the square ones, the ones that are like rectangular and they don't have the 2 holes. And then of each of those, you've got white, almond, and then whatever that other color is that's not really almond and not really white. It's like an off-white, because you want to match everything, right? So for outlets, you need at least enough to cover all of those situations. But then on top of that, you're also going to need GFCI outlets.
Yep.
And you just kind of go down, and I realized what I needed to do with my kits was I needed to actually look at a type of job like outlets and then analyze. It's luckily I've been doing this enough years. I have a good idea of what I do or don't actually ever end up needing or using. But then I can put together an outlets kit and I can have all the inventory that you'll need, not just whatever I happen to have, but go purchase inventory for it and have all the inventory, all the tools, minus whatever's in my EDC. I subtract that from the kits because I'm always going to have my EDC.
Yep.
And then you've just got something that guarantees, at least better than 90% of the time when you walk in the door, you're not going to need to leave the house to go back out to the van for anything. So the first ones were in tiny, tiny little Husky boxes. The second batch that I've been building now, the bigger, better, prettier ones, those are also in Husky boxes, but they're the 2-level Husky boxes that have, like, you can open up the clear plastic lid on top and get little minor hardware on the top, but under that is more space for your bigger stuff.
Okay.
But I am with you. There's never anything that seems to be just right for them. It's like as soon as you get any bigger, like if you want to be able to hold bigger items or have more stuff, there's no in-between size between that and the next size up is like way bigger, and now it's too big and it's too expensive. So I don't have personally a solution for it other than I want whatever I use to be scalable and available. Like in a year, I want to be able to still go buy that same box because I want to keep building these kits over time. And I don't want, the reason I don't use the little ones anymore, partially is because I don't make them anymore. I was forced to find a new kind of box. So I picked one that seemed ubiquitous enough and priced right that it feels like a staple that's hopefully still going to be on the shelf at Home Depot in a year for me to keep building kits. And then all I do is if I need something like my smoke detector kit, I try to have 6 each of plug-in and battery operated. So I need 12 smoke detectors with me all the time. Plus I want to have in my smoke detector kit, I want to have also a combo CO2 detector / smoke detector. I want a combo that's plug-in. Actually, I want 2 combos that are plug-in and 2 combos that are battery operated, because a lot of these are 2-story buildings and you need to have one on each floor. Technically, you're supposed to have one within 10 feet of each bedroom door as well. But for those, I found a tackle box for that because the kits that I have aren't big enough. So then I just go find like the few exceptions to the rule. I find the kit that I need just for those.
Right on. Yeah, and it just popped into my head too. Like that's the beauty of garage sailing too, is because
it is, yeah.
The older boxes, I mean, they had it right then more than they do now.
Oh yeah,
you come
every
across.
time.
I mean, it may be a steel box and a little bit heavy, but man, did they think it through a little bit more than kind of now.
Yeah,
and it's not
everything is
$90 for a
disposable
box.
these days.
Yeah.
It's all junk anymore. Even my brand new kits, the one I just upgraded to, and I mean, given yes, they're Husky, and they're like one of the most affordable Huskies you can get, but literally the latches just fall out. Like the actual latching mechanism is just held in by friction from underneath. So when I go to latch them, like at 1 out of every 5 times, the latch won't go, and I have to reach under with my hand and like pop the thing back up and then latch it. It's all junk anymore.
Yeah, no, 100%. My best toolkit I got from I used to manage a storage unit, and I'd have first choice. When somebody forfeited their unit, to go in and just take what I wanted, and only got one good thing out of like 3 years of doing it. And this guy, whenever I stash this box, it's hidden in my garage because whenever I'm in a position to where whatever I'm looking for, I can't find it anywhere, and I know I have it, I always know that all I gotta do is dig out this box, and whoever put that damn thing together, it weighs like 400 pounds, and it's only like this big, but it's in there every time.
Yeah.
The random 1.5 inch, socket, half-inch socket that you never need or never have or whatever. But just weird things. Whenever I need something, it's always in there. This dude, he had it right. But
I'm a big fan of those mechanics tool sets, even just like the Craftsman. Nothing's cheap anymore, but even like the cheaper Craftsman at Home Depot, the ones that have like they'll have the 3/8 or 1/4 inch, 3/8 and 1/2 inch drive. Ratchets. They'll have the deep well and the shallow well, long and short. They'll have the 12-point and the 6-point. It'll have like every combination of everything you can imagine, so that one kit has it all. They're not super affordable, but I mean, they're not super expensive either. You find them for like $150 to $250. And I find I don't use them nearly. I'm like you. I have older stuff that I like better, just heavier, more robust, older tools.
Yep.
That I'll use most of the time. But I love having those modern cheap kits that I'll just get one and I'll put it in the shop somewhere on a shelf, and I don't typically use it. But then if I do end up losing, like my 10mm socket, I can always go over to that one, and there's going to be one in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of this thing. This kit that I was talking about, this guy must have been the neighborhood handyman wherever he lived, because it wasn't a complete kit by any means. It's just the most popular sizes of all the different miscellaneous tools you could possibly have. Like,
oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I was confused. I thought you meant it had everything. You're saying it has everything you need.
Yeah, it's just, if I laid out this whole thing, you'd be like, wow, this makes no sense at all. Until you think about it, you're just like, oh yeah, if I was needing a screwdriver, I would just need one of these two. Or, if I'm doing a job, need the sockets, these are all the most popular sizes. I mean, everything's in there. I mean,
like Allen wrenches, you need 3/32.
Yep.
For set screws on faucet handles and towel bars.
Yep.
And then you need 1/8 inch for like random, like build it yourself stuff that people order online. That's like the average size of, just if you order a random doesn't matter if it's a cabinet or, closet organizer, those are usually 1/8 inch hex for the screws on those. And then you need 1/4 inch hex for your garbage disposal under your sink.
Yep.
And that's all you need. You don't really ever
use any.
Do you ever use any size Allen wrench other than 3/32, 1/8 inch, or 1/4 inch? It's pretty damn rare.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's
it's rare enough that all you need is an Allen wrench set buried in the van somewhere that you're like, that twice a year you're going to pull out for that one size that for whatever reason you happen to need now.
Exactly. And that's why I told you that I took this kit and I just stashed it in the garage. For that moment when I can't find it, I just know it'll be in there. Even though it's not a complete kit, it's just knowing the mindset of the person that put this together. He did the thinking for me. Whatever I need is just going to be in that dang thing. And I love that.
Now, the important question is, when you're done, when you pull something out of that kit, do you go put it back when you're done?
This last time I didn't. The other day I was out of my toolbox.
He would be disappointed in you.
Yeah, it was the first time the other day. I needed a 1 inch socket, and all my other toolkits end at 2 inch. Yeah, 2 inch, and all my other socket sets end at 1 7/8 inches. So the only place I have this one is in that kit, and I noticed that I never put it away last time, and I'm like, all right, it's not going to be my magical kit anymore if I don't take care of this.
Yeah, thank God for his generation, though, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you done any? Have you taken any jobs? Let's just say in the last year, since. Oh, hold on. I got weird stuff popping up on my computer screen over here. Have you taken any jobs in the last year that you regretted taking? And then as a follow-on to that question, what do you do if you take a job that you regret taking, but that you're capable of? Do you just decline the job after you took it, or do you continue and follow through on it?
I have the perfect example of that one. This one, I realized a little bit too late that it was going to be a royal pain in the butt, because the person was very wishy-washy, constantly changed their minds. I just happened to be in a position where, that this was probably in the early spring. And again, I wasn't super slow, but I wasn't super busy either. So I kept the job, and I really shouldn't have, especially when she broke the most important rule. Cause I was like, I always tell people when they ask me to do a bathroom or tile, I do tile, but I'm not a tile guy. I was like, I will do probably a better job than a tile guy, but I don't do this by trade. So it has to be simple. I was like, I won't do anything bigger than a 2-foot tile or 1 foot by 1 foot by 2 foot tile. I won't do, and I won't do super, super small subway tile. Well, at the last minute, she decided, she's like, oh yeah, no problem. Well, she went with a bigger tile than I asked her to do, because she wanted to do 2 walls with this big white tile, and then she wanted to do the one accent wall with subway tile. And I was like, all right, you already broke my 2 rules right there. And like all people are just like, oh, it's no big deal. It's, they make it sound so simple.
You'll be fine.
Yep. And it's like, you can do this. And I'd already done way more than I wanted to do. Like, I increased the size. I was the only person that she could get to increase the opening of her window size in the shower. And nobody else would do it for less than like $8,000. And so I had to cut, the concrete saw, cut a big old hole in this thing, and I didn't want to do it. But again, I didn't have a lot of business. So I did it anyway, and I charged her for it. I didn't charge her $8,000. I charged her, I think, $1,200, and it took me an hour, and that was my day. I went home dirty, took the day off because I made plenty of money, whatever. But anyway, once she started making all these changes, I should have let it go right then and there, because it just got way, way, way worse. She ended up picking such a strange pearl-colored subway tile, and she bought the white tile was ultra white. So you know how ultra white tile makes plain white grout look a little bit yellow?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I
people would be amazed how many different whites there can be.
Yep. So she's like, I want plain white grout. I'm like, okay, well, I will get you plain white grout. And it said plain white grout. When I was all done, I did the pearl subway tile, did everything. And then a couple hours later, she calls me up chewing my ass because the grout looked yellow. And I was like, you picked the goofiest goddamn subway tile that has a million different colors in it, anything but white.
Yeah.
You even hated it, but you still wanted me to install it. And then you picked the whitest of white, tiles, which makes plain white grout look yellow. Mm-hmm. And so she flipped out, and I still had one wall to grout. And I was so fed up that I said, you know what? I did the hard part. The tile is in. Most of the grout is in. You yourself are capable of doing the grout. I will knock off, a couple $100, and you could do whatever you want. And I found her somebody. She was so disappointed with the grout color, but she did cool down and did make sense and all that kind of stuff. And she found somebody who does grout staining, so that worked out good. So they would come in and stain the grout a bright white. But I walked away from it at the end, and she was happy. I was like, yep, anybody could do that. You could do the grout, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. But in retrospect, I should have read that situation better from the beginning. That's another thing that I've gotten a lot better at, is kind of like reading people and vetting them and figuring out whether or not this is going to turn into a disaster. And so,
did she have any red flags early on, or you just feel if you'd have paid more attention, you could have just felt it out?
She was bubbly, she was clear spoken and all this kind of stuff, but she was, kind of flighty and bubbly, and when she started making changes, I should have took that as an indicator right off the bat. And her taste, and that's another thing, like her taste was very, very unique too. And I think that's a telltale sign that somebody is probably going to be a little difficult to work for, is when their taste is so unique that you certainly can't comprehend it. And for whatever reason they do, but they're so unique that they're constantly changing it. Nothing ever seems right. And
well, correct me if you disagree, but I feel like people with those really unique tastes, they also really uniquely do not have a good idea of what that looks like on a wall. Yeah. Like, that's the type of person that goes to Home Depot and picks a little card off the wall with a color, and they imagine that that's the color they want their whole bathroom done in. And then you try to tell them that's going to make their bathroom feel like a cave and it's too dark. And they go, no, it's a bright red. It's a bright red. And then you put it on the wall, and they're not happy afterwards because they were weird for wanting red in the first place. And then they just cannot picture what it's actually going to make the bathroom feel like. And then they're unhappy when it's all said and done. And you're like, tried to tell you that was going to feel like a cave. It was going to suck all the light out of the room.
Yeah, and another thing that I remember from my auto body days is the way things look, underneath fluorescent lighting at the store is totally different than it looks in your home, with whatever lighting situation you have. It looks completely different. And so that's another thing that I've been trying to pay attention to and inform people about. But yeah, she 100% did that. When I put that stuff on the wall, she's just like, because only by the wall did you have natural light coming in. So once the natural light hit it, she's like, whoa, I don't like this. And that was the tile before even the grout. So yeah, that's.
So I would imagine you're not open to working with her anymore, right?
Oh, no. She wanted to
So
hire
what do
me.
you do in that situation when you need to fire a client? Do you actively fire a client, or do you just make yourself not available to them anymore? How do you go about making sure that you don't work for people that you've decided you don't want to work for anymore?
With her, she's the only person that I've fired recently. There's another person that I'm about to. But yeah, I will 100 with her. I was very clear. I was like, listen, let's do this. It's like, I will give you a $300 discount, and and I'm gonna walk away. I will be done. That will conclude our business here and in the future. And she appreciated the way that I said it, and she's like, okay, well, thank you for being very clear. Like, she heard me saying, I don't ever want to deal with you again. And because she knew that I was frustrated every time that she came to me with something. She could tell I was biting my tongue and that I wanted to walk away, but I stayed in there. So I made it very clear in that case. It's like, yeah, this will conclude all of our business currently and in the future, just like that. And
was she happy with the, not the grout, but was she happy with the work? Did she ever mention
over the moon
if she thought just the install itself was a good install?
Yeah, she repeated over and over again the way how I staggered my tiles, and how her other bathrooms were not done that way. Her other bathrooms were. I was like, well, your bathrooms were done by people, by tile people. I was like, they do this all day long, and see, I don't. I do it because I like doing so many different things. Because if I did the same thing all day long, my job would look crappy like that, because I would have lost interest. I was like, but when I go to do something, a lot of thought goes into it. So, and because I want there to be thought into it, because I'm not burnt out on it. And I was like, so, I'm glad you could tell a clear difference between the tile guy and a guy who does tile. And she did, and she appreciated that, and she thought I did a great job. And
that's great.
So, yeah, and it was
Where'd
hard.
you learn to do the layout at?
What's that?
Where'd you learn to do tile layout? Because you mentioned that she liked how you staggered it and stuff. And a lot of people, like, for me, one of the reasons I've thought about being a tile guy, because I think a lot of things about doing tile would fit my personality type. But one of the things that I learned about tile along the way was how important the layout is. Like when you're doing a whole house.
Oh, yeah.
That you have to be considering how they look going down the hallway, where the edge sort of meets doorways or meets walls, and all kinds of things. And you end up where there's really like only one or two, or maybe at most three, like good ways to lay out the tile in any particular house. And then there's 1,000 wrong ways. So I'm just curious if you learned that from somewhere specific, or if for you it's just more that you're doing smaller rooms and you have common sense, so you're able to just sort of visualize how the room's going to look.
Well, yeah, to me, I 100% learned it on my own. I mean, I started off with the old, put a square in the center of the room and then fan out from there. But then the very first time that I wound up with a 1-inch piece up against the wall, I'm like, oh, clearly that's not the way to do it. So now every room lays out itself. I will start, my generic layout process, but I will line up tiles to make sure that I do not have less than a couple inch piece on this side. But I'll try to make sure that, if I'm, say, the main wall of the bathroom, or any wall, you'll want the same size tile on each side, with maybe the only other, if you're doing subway tile, you can get away with not doing that, but it looks so much more professional when everything is uniform. So like I said, the room will lay itself out, because I will physically lay the tiles out to make sure that I'm not relying on my math to make sure I didn't end up with a half-inch piece in the corner, and so, and I use lots of trim, so I don't have to worry about like if I'm doing like inserts, like shelf inserts or something like that, trim around everything, where the tile ends, piece trim there, whether it's bull nose or the metal trim. I forget what you call it. I just started using that.
The tile almost like sits inside of a little bit. Lip. Yeah. I don't know what it's called either. I'm just a handyman.
Yeah, but
my excuse for everything.
Yeah, but and now I used to hate doing tile, but now that I've just hunkered down and just watched a few more videos on it, this plumber came in to my job on Friday, and he was just like, man, he's like, this guy was like 80, and he does tile on the side, and he's just like, man, I was doing another subway tile job, and he's just like, man, I really love the way you laid this out. You start with a ledger board, and you don't just, the guys who have the lasers, that project the lasers on the wall and stuff like that, that's a headache, because you don't have something for the tile to sit on. So you're not constantly worried about the tile moving and being a problem for a later day. Like, I figure out exactly where my ledger board needs to be, and I have a ledger board on the bottom and on the sides. So all my edges are firmly pressed up against something. And through just updating my knowledge with a couple of videos, I use different mortar now. I use different spacers now. I use different wall board now. I completely changed everything, and I can almost say that it's almost enjoyable doing tile compared to the way I used to do it.
Yeah,
Schluter board.
Have you ever
Dura-Rock is,
Have you ever messed up like a tile job bad enough to where you had to go beat off and chip off stuff that was already set?
No, that lady that I was telling you about, I almost did that. Luckily, she called me just in time to tell me, because I was going to go there only because a contractor buddy of mine forced me to go. He's like, man, you got to do the right thing. You just did the tile today. You could go and chink all that crap off. And I'm like, no, not a chance in hell. But luckily, she just texted me saying, ooh, I found somebody who could stain the grout, and we don't have to.
Yeah, it seems like you found a good solution to that one.
She did, thank God. But no, I've never. I overthink tile so much that, because the thing with tile is you can't make a mistake. If you screw up in your layout and you don't think a couple steps ahead, then you're going to have to be super, super creative, or hope your client is really, really, unobservant.
Yeah.
And but
have you seen? There's a new. I don't know if I could say for sure if it's AI powered. There's got to be some amount of AI going on in there, but they've got a new robot for construction sites now that prints the same way that your printer, prints on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It prints on the floor. And what I saw was it was being used for new home builds, for where all the framing and everything is going to go. But also it ends up showing you just where anything you want to see on the floor, where it's all going to be from the blueprints. And it uses, I saw in the video, I recognized some LiDAR, or there was a tripod, and I could tell there was LiDAR on the tripod. So it was LiDAR based, but it prints everything. And the first thing I thought, because I'm not involved in new home builds, but the first thing I thought was, man, if I was going to lay out a house for new tile, if somebody wanted me to tile, if they had cement all the way through, or carpet was getting ripped out, I would probably want, if I could get one of those robots, I would want one of those robots to just, like I'll figure out what I think the layout's going to be, but then have the robot just go print it across the entire house. Because then I could just walk and sort of see where I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
I don't do things visually in my head nearly as well as what I do if it's visual in real life. So for me, I would have had that robot just lay out the entire house, print it onto the floor, and then just follow the print on the floor.
Dang. Boy, I wonder what something like that goes for.
Probably too much. And you probably need to go to like a 2-week-long class in Maryland, to get certified to even understand how to use the software and stuff.
Yep. And be doing like multiple
It's all
houses
coming
a
down
day.
the pipeline, though.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There'll come a time probably when you can just like go online to a website and place an order and have one show up, and then you use it, and then just ship it back, and maybe only have to pay a couple hundred. I would do that though. I'd pay a couple $100.
Oh yeah.
To just have that thing printed all on the floor for me.
100%.
Speaking of AI and just tech in general, are you using any particular AI or other like modern tech? Are you integrating anything that feels new and cool into your business?
I'm wanting to, but also I'm not, because I'm not being forced to yet, because my volume is so small that I haven't been pushed in that direction enough. I want to do it personally just to get ahead of the, just to get to know it. It to me it's still pretty foreign, and so I still need to learn, how all I could use it, and to make myself more efficient. But I'm not forced to do it yet because I'm just not overwhelmed with admin work.
And what you don't want to do is find yourself in the position where everybody else did and you didn't. And then you're behind the curve, like you said. If you don't mind me giving some advice.
No, please.
At the very least, it's the same advice I give to everybody, and I think it's the only advice I need to give to anybody, honestly, is download ChatGPT on your phone. And I'm not saying ChatGPT is the be-all, end-all. There are 24 AIs that I love for 24 different reasons. But the best starting point is just to download, and I do mean specifically the app. Don't go to, you can go to chatgpt.com and stuff too. Download the app and then open the app like when you're alone, right? When nobody else is around. You don't want any distractions, and you don't want to feel embarrassed maybe because you're talking to an AI for the first time. Download the app, use the voice feature on the app. Don't type back and forth to it. Speak to it with your voice where it speaks back to you with its voice. And be honest. And just say, okay, my name's Chris. I have, these family members and these friends, and I run this kind of business, and I drive this kind of truck. Whatever it is that you feel, a person would want to know about you to understand who you are. Just start talking to her, but tell her, I don't know anything about AI. I haven't really used any AI yet, and this is my attempt to start learning. So can you please start, and this is the trick that I specifically point out, don't just ask it to teach you what it's useful for. Ask it to ask you questions to get to know you, so that it knows you well enough to know how to teach you or what to teach you. But that's one of the tricks, is if you ask her to ask you questions instead of just asking her to solve your problems, ask her to ask the proper questions, and even go so far as to say, ask me the questions about the things that I haven't even thought to bring up for you to ask me questions about. Like, assume I'm an idiot. And start from scratch and get to know me, and then help me figure out how and where I can best integrate both you and all the other AIs that are available out there into my life to improve my quality of life and my chances of success. And again, you don't have to use all of those words, but that general feel of approach her as if she's, or you can do male voices. For me, they're all female because women are best at that type of stuff, I think. But literally just go into it from scratch and just be honest and speak to her the way that you would speak to if you just made a new friend who was like a super uber genius, knew everything about everything, and wanted to just like their only goal in life is to help Chris succeed.
Yep.
Talk to her the way you would talk to that person and just see where it goes. And I think that if you can do that one thing, like pick one, whether it's tonight or tomorrow night,
Yeah.
pick a night, set aside 2 hours and just go, I'm going to spend one evening just talking to this AI. I'm going to give it that much time. I'm going to give it all the opportunity in the world to prove to me that it is useful and that I should be doing more. And give her that one evening, and I bet you'll walk away from that going, I had no idea what the possibilities were, and now I'm excited to start getting more efficient and more professional and just better at everything I do.
Absolutely. No, I've heard that a lot because I listen to a lot of AI educating, podcasts and stuff like that. But I haven't pulled the trigger yet, and because the one that the one person I listen to the most, that they promote Grok and whatnot. But I just know it's just something I've been trying to get on because I definitely feel like I'm behind the curve. And me and my other business buddy from back home in New York, he's been starting to play with it a lot too, and he loves it. And he's explained it to me a little bit. But I like the way you laid it out. I'm gonna do just that because I definitely.
It's the best starting place, because you can't teach somebody everything, and I can't know what your best use cases are for it. Yeah. But I do know that if you'll just give her one evening of conversation, I think she will do a better job at convincing you, or even just at figuring out if you do need her or not. But you probably do, and she will be good at helping you figure that out. But more importantly, it'll just be such a good introduction that after that, you'll be hungry to know more. Then you won't need anybody telling you anything. You'll be just going out and seeking. Well, even the song, the song at the beginning of this video in the intro. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, it even says Bulletproof Handyman in the song. AI wrote that.
Really?
That's an AI generated song.
Okay.
On Suno, Suno is the name of it. You can go to Suno anytime you want, like today. Go play with Suno and just tell it that you want like an upbeat country twang with a little bit of hillbilly rock, and you want the subject matter to be about about taking your kids to Oregon or something. Yeah. And you can just sort of give it instructions, and it'll make a song for you. And it might make a crappy song that you don't like, but every now and then it'll make a really cool song that you do like. And there's a million little use cases like that.
No, that's pretty slick. I'll use that for all kinds of stuff. My son's birthday's coming up. I'll probably make him a birthday song too, and to embarrass him.
Hey, you know what? I haven't asked you yet. I apologize. Is if there's any particular stuff you want to talk about? We're not necessarily done or anything. I've still got a lot of notes about you over here that I want to touch on, but I haven't really asked you if there's anything specific that you maybe came into this wanting to discuss.
Actually, you just touched on it, the AI thing, because you mentioned it a lot in your videos, and so just starting place there was really the only thing that I was gonna make sure that I got to ask you.
Yeah,
and
I sincerely believe once you get that, like if you want to know how to do marketing, I'm not the guy to tell you how to use AI for marketing. Yeah, I'm the guy to tell you how to use AI to talk to AI so that the AI can teach you how to use AI for. That's the beautiful part, is it's smarter than me, it's smarter than you, it's smarter than everybody else. It's an expert at everything. Yeah. So like whatever it is you want to know how to use it for, just let it teach you.
Yep. No, I'm excited. This will get me rolling because I've been dragging my feet like crazy, mostly because because I'm scared of AI. I listen to so many podcasts, and it's funny. You listen to Rogan, and almost every single one of his interviews, halfway to 3/4 into it, goes to artificial intelligence, UFOs, where we're going to be, where we're going to be in 5 years with this AI, and so I've been, I don't know, naive and technically scared of it because 9 out of 10 people say it's the worst thing in the world. Some of the people that invented it, are just like, they're like, oh, we've already lost control. This stuff's off and running. We hope it's going to be good because we have no idea. but it's probably going to be bad.
That's really the truth. I do believe that's the truth right now. It is. We have passed any point that we may have had where we could have turned around and said, let's slow this down and maybe not do this.
Yeah.
I don't think that point ever existed, honestly. I think, and I'll tell you this, so it's not a philosophy, but I was talking to Emily the other day about AI, and I don't know how this popped into my head, but I was really happy when it did. It was a way for me to explain things to her that I felt, because she's not into tech. She's more than intelligent enough to understand it if it was her passion. It's just not what her passion is.
Yep.
But I wanted to say something to her to help her understand, because she's got stuff coming at her from every direction about it's dangerous, it's amazing, it's dangerous, it's amazing. And I said, look at it this way. There was a time with human beings, with Homo sapiens, when we didn't have fire, we didn't have tools, and we truly lived like other animals. It was moment by moment, reaction by reaction. And then at some point along the way, and I mean, you could argue, if you're in anthropology like I am, you could argue which came first or whatever, but somewhere along the way, we suddenly had fire, like the control of fire. And the control of fire, all that really was it was the first time ever that we were able to harness something from nature and have it do work for us.
Yep.
So that we weren't expending our calories making something happen. Suddenly nature could make that happen. So we don't need to expend calories warming ourselves because the fire's warming us.
Yep.
We don't need to expend calories digesting the really complex starches in a particular root, because now the fire can mostly break those starches down into simpler starches so that we can eat them and we don't need so much energy to digest them. All these different ways that fire made it so that we needed to expend fewer calories to get a unit of work done.
Yep.
And then you fast forward that all the way through to today, all the advancements steam power, the Industrial Revolution with steam power, that was just another upgrade in our ability to harness nature, to harness something outside of ourselves to do work for us so that we don't have to expend our resources doing that work. AI, the internet is the same thing. All of a sudden we can communicate halfway across the world. We didn't have to write a letter. Nobody had to get on a horse and ride their horse to Washington, D.C. to tell the president something. He can get it on the computer because of the internet.
Yep.
AI is just the next instantiation of that. It's a continuation of a process that Homo sapiens has been involved in for at minimum 200,000 years, if not 500,000 or 1,000,000 years.
Yep.
So that's the way that I think is the best way to look at it, is we don't know. It's certainly going to be used for harm. It's certainly going to be used for good. It's certainly going to accidentally harm in ways that we didn't think of. And it's certainly going to accidentally do good things that we didn't think of. The only question is the harm going to be so bad that it destroys us, or is it just going to be bad enough to fuck us up real good, and then we figure out, probably using AI, figure out the solution to fix the problems that AI also created. But everything, we unlocked the atom, and that partially meant we could create clean, cheap energy so that we could make insulin and keep people alive who otherwise would have died. And we can also blow cities up with it. So,
Yep. Yeah.
But I do try to look at it as just a continuation of fire, steam power, electricity, internet, and just any other technological innovation we've ever had. It's going to be up to us what it does.
Yeah. It's just surprising that, it's happening now,
right now.
For forever, we've always grown little by little, but now we're going to grow faster than and we could comprehend. And
and it's going to be smarter than us soon. We don't know. I mean, I know I'm smart enough, just smart enough to know that I don't know what it means for something to be smarter than us. The idea of, we're 2% different from a chimpanzee genetically.
Yeah.
And yet we're a world apart in terms of what that actually means when it plays out in reality. What does it mean for something else? Like we've been the smartest thing that exists the whole time. What does it mean for something to be smarter than us?
No, that's what confuses me is because before AI, the conversation was, man, we are light years from figuring out the full potential of the human brain, and every day we're coming up with having these new breakthroughs and making you think that, pretty soon you're gonna, figure out how to access parts of your brain that are just make you so much more intelligent. And now it's just like, nope, brain dumb, AI smart, and
Yep.
it's like
Exactly.
all that research was useless because you dumb now. Yep,
That's exactly right. It's scary. It's weird. I'm just trying to stay on top of it though, for sure.
It's crazy.
I've got a good video coming out on it soon too. I'm trying to look for the paper. Hopefully I haven't lost it, but I have a good outline done for a really good like AI overview video. And then I'm probably going to say that we're going to start doing a series on it, except I probably shouldn't say that because I've promised like 18 different series on this channel that I haven't followed through with. But I'll have some good stuff coming out on it soon. On a totally unrelated topic, I want to know, just if you do have a solid opinion, what's your opinion on specifically cordless tools? What's your opinion on brands? Are you a fancy Milwaukee guy, or are you a save money, the cheap Ryobis are just as good as anything guy, or what? Where do you stand on the tools?
It's funny. I watched your video with Daryl on this particular topic, and I feel exactly the same way you do, pretty much. Every tool I have I have a cordless version of every kind of tool, and of course the corded backups. Currently, I have not made the investment to switch from rigid, but it is exactly how you describe it: big and clunky, and their customer service pretty much sucks because as soon as it breaks, you can't get it replaced within a year.
That's good to know. Can you I want you to finish what you're saying for sure, but after that, can you dive into the warranty, because that's a big deal for me, and I've heard really conflicting reports. So finish telling me, but please remember to tell me all about your experience with when they break.
Well, let's see, with this last round of tools, being like I bought pretty much all new rigid cordless tools on a Black Friday 2 years ago, and within days I dropped a battery in a swimming pool because I was building like a gazebo or a pergola next to a pool or something. I didn't think they were going to replace that battery because they were going to find that it had been zapped by chlorine and all this kind of stuff. They did replace that battery. However, I never received it. And they're like, oh yeah, you're approved, blah, 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 blah. We're sending you a new battery. Well, a month later, I still don't have a battery. Call them up. They're like, oh yeah, for some reason, it just never shipped. We're sending you another battery. Anyway, after 6 months, I got tired of trying. Needless to say, I never got the dang battery. And it was a 24-volt battery, the big battery, which is what I need. So I never got that. After that, a drill broke. Sent it in. Didn't hear anything. Not, hey, we received it. Nothing. Followed up on it. Nothing. Randomly, a couple months went by, and they're like, oh, we received it. We're shipping you a new one. Still never received it.
My God.
Yeah.
It
However,
sounds like trying to deal with a handyman.
Yeah. Oh God. But however, my friend and my old building partner, he's who turned me on the rigid. Whenever he sends something in, he never has a problem. He always gets it back. Yeah. He says it does take sometimes between 4 and 6 months to get replaced, but it always gets replaced.
Boy, that's not good though if you're trying to be a business owner, you know.
No, that's horrible. And my brand new multi-tool is about to crap the bed any day now. So, and I kind of knew that the first time I turned it on. I was like, oh God, now the thing sounds horrible. It sounds like there's a million different pieces and parts bouncing around inside of it, and it's only a couple months old. Yeah. So yeah, all the rigid stuff is gonna go bye-bye soon. I can say that probably the best compressor I've ever owned and ever heard of anybody owning was the rigid compressor, like their big boy compressor that's on wheels, like their construction site version. Those are pretty good, but I'm done with Rigid.
Yeah.
At the very least,
Yeah.
I'm going to go DeWalt, but if I can afford to, I'm going to go Milwaukee.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my own 2 cents, keeping in mind I have no like financial relationship with DeWalt at all. I would if I could, but they're not. I don't know if you know this. Most of the cordless tool companies, although they do spend money on marketing, their goals typically are to get you the tools as cheaply as possible with zero margin or even at a loss, so that you're on their battery platform.
Yep.
That's usually their goal. So they don't even really go paying people to promote their tools much. So I have no affiliation with them. But I will tell you, I have been using DeWalt cordless tools since, I want to say, 1999.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 1998 even. It's the only brand I've owned 1 or 2 little things from some other brands just because it was the right price at the right time.
Yeah.
But I have been DeWalt, as far as cordless, my entire life now. I have never, ever, the one exception actually was, and this was because it was such a new technology, when they came out with their 18-volt brad nailers, when nobody had a cordless battery-powered nailer at all, and DeWalt was figuring out how to even make that work. I had one of those that went out when it was like 6 months old, and then they replaced that for free. Other than that, every single DeWalt tool I've had tons of them, and I still do have tons of them, and use them really hard in my business.
Yeah.
Not one has ever gone out on me. Just ever, ever, ever. And I do hear people, I've heard this joke many times, and I don't know where it comes from, but it's been like 8 or 9 times I've heard the same phrase where somebody says, yeah, DeWalt's great, until you drop one of their batteries 3 feet onto the sidewalk and it busts into a million pieces. I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
I've got $1,000 worth of DeWalt batteries. I've dropped them off of roofs. I've had them fall out of the back of the pickup truck when I left the tailgate down.
Yep.
I've dropped them off the top of my van. I've dropped them off everywhere 1,000 times over. And not one of them has ever broken on me. All of my DeWalt stuff, I wouldn't say that it's as comfortable to use as Milwaukee. The Milwaukee, like the M12, which I would absolutely consider switching over to someday if I feel like I have that kind of disposable income.
Yep.
For the comfort, literally just for the lower weight and the ergonomics and stuff. Milwaukee makes a very tight, a very solid, like comfortable tool to use. But man, I'm telling you, my Milwaukee has my DeWalt has just been a beast of every form, fashion, shape, and size that I've ever owned. They have all performed just stellar the entire time I've owned them.
Yeah.
To the point that I just won't ever,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, when I team up with other people, and because everybody besides me uses DeWalt, and who's using decent stuff, and coming from Rigid, I find DeWalt to be super comfortable in your hand, super reliable. Like my brad nailer works 50% of the time at best. Every time it shoots a nail, I have to wonder, did it actually shoot a nail? Where whenever I use a DeWalt, I'm just like, yep. Whenever I use a DeWalt, I'm like, oh, that thing popped that nail. I was like, that thing definitely shot a nail.
Yep.
And their multi-tools 1,000 times better. Every tool that I've compared, and I was just at my sister's. She has a full set of DeWalts. When I was in Oregon, I was helping my sister rebuild her bathroom. So I got to play around with all the same tools I have. And you compare each one of them, night and day difference between function. The multi-tools leaps and bounds better than mine. Same with every saw. I couldn't. There's not one tool that I could say was better. That Rigid's better with than DeWalt.
Yeah.
And
then something else I noticed with Milwaukee, and I'm not going to trash Milwaukee because I don't have enough experience, but one of the few experiences I did have was with my father-in-law in the Arizona heat in the middle of the summer, putting some corrugated steel on top of a new set of kennels he built. He loves his dogs, and he's built in these giant areas outside. And we're putting the metal down on the roof, so it's probably 105 degrees or whatever. It's always over 100 degrees all summer long here.
Yep.
And both of us, he's got Milwaukee, and both of us had one each of his 2 Milwaukee drills that we're using. And both of our drills stopped working, and the batteries weren't yet too hot. According to him, what the problem was the drills themselves had like a heat sensor in them. So if they get too hot, they shut themselves off. I would assume so that they don't destroy themselves, right? So that you don't end up having like, oh, my Milwaukee drill got real hot and then burned up the motor on the inside.
Yeah.
And I don't like that because I've worked in the Arizona heat when it's 115 degrees with my DeWalt, and I'm certain that I've shortened the lifespan of my DeWalts. But honestly, even if it meant the tool was going to break, I would rather my tools work in the heat. You know, the batteries, I get it. The batteries have to shut themselves off because they might explode.
Yeah.
But as long as the battery's willing to put the juice through, I want my tool to do what I tell it to do. And I can't have it just, if I've booked a bunch of jobs, you know, imagine you in Florida, you've got like 4 jobs booked today, back to back, you're trying to make that $800 or whatever your day is about to look like. You're in the middle of the heat, in the middle of the summer, and all of a sudden your drill just decides, your one and only drill that you have that day, just decides it's not going to work anymore because the manufacturer of the drill was worried that you would think it was a piece of crap if it burnt up. So now you can't use your drill for the next hour while it cools down, and it just throws the whole rest of your day off. I would rather my tool allow me to use it to the point that it breaks than for it to decide that I'm not allowed to do that, because I'd rather just, maybe the 5th time that I abuse it, I'd rather it just die on me and I have to go buy a new drill for $99. So that's an hour of my time, right? Yep. I'd rather lose that $99 that one time than to have to lose an hour of my time 18 different times throughout the summer because my drill was worried it was going to break if it allowed me to keep using it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know if all Milwaukee tools are that way, but I would research that before buying Milwaukee and at least see if there's different versions I could buy that do or don't have that protection, because I don't want my tools shutting down on me in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that would royally piss me off. And yeah.
And I've never had that problem with DeWalt. I've had batteries that cut themselves off, you know, so they don't explode, which is an easy solution because I have tons of batteries. That's why I have so many, is in the Arizona heat. I can't be overheating batteries all the time. So I'll swap them out. As soon as it feels warm to the touch, I swap that battery out with another battery and I keep them cycling. And I've never had a tool quit on me in this Arizona heat.
Wow. No, that's good. That's good to know. I've never even thought about that. But yeah.
Anything else on tools that you want to point out? Any other opinions that you have that we might find useful?
Oh boy. Yeah. I'm getting ready to invest in my first mini DeWalt jackhammer. Usually I'm going and renting the 35-pound, the smallest jackhammer that they have at the rental place. And but this client that I'm working for right now, she did all the demolition on the 2 bathrooms in this house. She's like 55 years old and small woman, and she did all the demo. It was so nice. I just had to come in there and just get to work.
Great.
But she showed me, she's like, hey, a friend of mine let me borrow this DeWalt jackhammer. And I'm like, oh, that thing, the RPMs on that thing, like, when you're chipping up a floor and like in this particular application, the way I like it is because you could never get all of the mortar up from the previous tile that you're ripping up. You're always going to have waves. And if you don't have the option, if you don't have the option of floor level, you got to get that crap up. This thing is so powerful and so many revolutions per minute. It's like it vibrates so fast that you almost like feel like you're going to let go of it because it's like overstimulating your nervous system.
Yeah. You can't really feel that you're holding it.
Yeah, and it just chisels that mortar up and tile up like effortlessly. Like I didn't even know.
And what brand is it?
It was a DeWalt.
Okay. Cordless or corded?
Cordless.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And the battery was
Send
super
me the
tiny.
model number if you have that. Text me or email me the model number so I can look into that. Because I haven't bought one yet, and it's on my list of tools I want to buy.
Yeah, after using that thing, because I used it for that, and then I used it to punch out a dryer vent hole in a brick exterior, and brick's brittle, so
Yeah.
I was a little bit
Oh,
worried
yeah.
about that. But this
I
thing
do that with
chiseled.
cold chisels and hammers, literally.
Yeah. Well, I took a risk, and I used the it had like a 1.5-inch blade on it, which I really shouldn't have been using for this hole. Should have been using something much more fine. But man, it just did whatever I asked it to do. It was
Nice.
it was just the RPMs on that thing was just ridiculous.
Great. Well, and those RPMs, that's where all the work is too. So if you have
Yeah.
one with like low RPMs, then you have to put in more work yourself to like just keep pressure where you need to keep pressure, because you can't be missing any of that potential, or it's going to take twice as long. But if you can double those RPMs, you can kind of let go a little bit and just sort of let the tool do the work, which is really what you should be doing anyways, is letting the tool do the work. But you get a high enough RPM on that, and you don't really have to work at all, other than just keeping it touching what it needs to touch, but without so much effort in it.
Exactly, and I noticed the exact same thing with the DeWalt and rigid multi tools. The DeWalt had 10 times more power and RPMs than my rigid, and to the point where where when I was using this DeWalt blade, like after I had completely, destroyed every tooth on this blade, it was still cutting. Where with my rigid, that you have to have brand new teeth for it to do anything. And so yeah. But yeah, as far as tools go, that's the only cool thing that I've come across here recently.
Okay. Any other tool advice, brand wise or otherwise?
No, I mean I don't really. Yeah, just the basic stuff, rigid stuff is all I have, and I 100% will be replacing all that stuff as soon as I can. But yeah, I wish I had some new cool stuff. I'm always walking through the stores and looking and seeing, I see that there's cool new tools that I want to, explore a little bit, but I haven't had the use for it yet. So to justify the purchase.
That's cool. What about skills? And I'll give you an example. I gave the same example yesterday too, but when I I knew about hot mud forever, and I was scared of, I thought, oh, that sounds hard. That's something that other guys do. I'm old country boy from Texas. I'm going to stick with what I know. And then one day I finally did some hot mud. And I felt like the biggest idiot that had ever walked the face of this earth, because I wasted so many years not teaching myself a skill that turned out to be, it had a little bit of a learning curve. But a month later, I was a hot mud guy. I never go back to regular joint compound ever again. Are there any skills or processes or any just lessons learned, like the way that I learned that one, where once you finally did it, you wished you had always done it?
Well, the first thing I could think of is that very same thing. Because I was hearing people talk about the hot mud thing, and when I was doing sealing patches and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, man, it'd be so much nicer if I just popped my cherry and went ahead and used it, and I did, and same thing. I felt like an idiot, just like you.
Yeah.
And
just like you wasted years of your life just not taking advantage of such a great solution.
Yeah. But no, so that, from there, I've gravitated. Now I've worked my way through, like I started with the hot mud, the 5-minute mud, and then I started playing with the 20-minute mud. And then I went to the 40 and the 90, and so now I don't mess with anything except for the 5 and the 90-minute mud, because I just I like having the time to play with it, and I like the consistency that it comes out in, and it makes my texturing a lot nicer. So I always go for just a 90-minute mud. And if I can, if I don't have the option, if I need something to dry a lot faster, then I'll use the other stuff. But I mean, even when you set your timer on your phone and you're just like, okay, it says I got 5 minutes. I really have 3.
You don't have 5 minutes.
No, 3
Yeah,
at
you
best.
never have 5 minutes.
Yep. And if it says 20, you got maybe 12. You know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin another bucket and another trowel and another So
that's
so
cool.
I always, if I can help it, I'm always using the higher minute stuff. And but yeah, I guess I don't have too much to offer in that department at the moment. Oh wait, no, actually, I went out of my comfort zone this summer since I took all this tile work. I always used a wet saw when doing tile. When I told you I kind of just brushed up on my knowledge of different tile stuff. Well, I finally got into breaking tile. And because that didn't make sense to me. I'm like, there's no way that works. Blah blah blah. It's so nice. You're not putting on. You don't have to put on eye protection and hearing protection, because I went and I upgraded my to a professional tile saw this time instead of my my junky Lowe's one. And
that's nice.
Oh, it's so nice. It's the cheap. It's from 𝗬𝗢𝗪. It's their base model tile saw. When you turn this thing on, I mean, you're waiting for the lights to dim. It's like it's so angry. But it just chews through tile like butter. And I bought the cheapest. I don't even know what the fancy name for the tile breaking saw is.
I don't know either. I have one hanging on my wall over here. I don't know the name of it though.
I don't know, but it's so nice.
I just call it a tile cutter.
Yeah, and I love that thing now. Now I will never do anything. I will never do it any other way, and it saves so much of a mess, so much noise, and so much and dust and
sometimes it's those little things that you just finally do. I took the opposite path. The first time I needed to do stuff with tile, I couldn't afford a wet saw. All I could afford was like the smallest, dinkiest little tile cutter, manual tile cutter I could find. So that's just what I was stuck with. I found out how great it is to have a wet saw later. But that was for a personal project on my house when I wasn't worried about like efficiency or time or dollars per hour. So for me, it was just super nice to be able to spend my Saturday like making these nice, pretty cuts on the wet saw.
Oh, absolutely. And they sell some really nice wet saws that have, I was looking at them at 𝗬𝗪𝗪. That's what I almost bought before I bought this one. I mean, my basic saw was $60 there, and this thing is amazing. I don't think I'll ever buy anything else. But if I do ever start doing bigger tile, for $200, they had a saw that had the saw in the middle, and then the floor, it moved underneath the saw and on rollers. And I was like, and then the water hose connected to the freaking, right next to the saw blade itself, and it was just a super, super smooth system. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the way to do it. And that was only $200. And then they had them going up to like $800, where it pretty much does it for you. But yeah, so I guess the real thing to share there is that, it's how important it is to just brush up on what you think is a skill that you've mastered, every once in a while.
And the way I do that is with YouTube. I just randomly stuff that I feel like I know what I'm doing already. I'll just go watch I'll just pick one more and just watch one more YouTube video on it. And sometimes it's that one more video. And I wish I could think of more examples, but I mean, when I do learn something from those videos, from jobs that I already know how to do, or I think I already know how to do, it always ends up being really obvious stuff too, that makes me feel like an idiot for not having just like the tiniest little trick, just one little itty bitty little hack that changes everything about it. Like, oh, here we go. I've got one. I wonder if I can pull this down. Oh no, I can't. Not the way I've got it screwed up. One of the tools that I just screwed up onto my little filming wall over here is a strainer basket wrench. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you put a new strainer basket in the bottom of a new sink, and they've got this special wrench that grabs the strainer basket for you, or grabs the nut on the backside, rather.
No,
I never ever used one of those.
Yeah.
And I've done all sorts of different hacks, to get that nut on and tight. That's always taken me like 10 or 15 minutes to get the job done because it's so hard to do from this end and to that end. And I finally just went and bought the right tools for that.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind how much easier it was. And it's like a $6 dinky. It's just like 2 chunks of metal,
Yeah.
And it takes care of everything for you. And it turns a crappy 15-minute job into a 2-minute job.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I've been trying to pay attention to that a lot, is keeping my eye out for stuff like that and people who share ideas like that, because like I said, I'm enjoying doing work that I always hated doing because I've learned to make it easier on myself.
Yeah.
This just in the tile world, I just changed my spacers from the corner spacers to the little horseshoe shaped spacers that you can just put wherever you want. And because after that last subway tile job with that woman that I told you that was difficult, the spacers were falling off. Every time I touched a piece of tile, the 3 spacers would fall off, or 4.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You put them
That's
back
no good.
and like I was ready to like beat my head against the wall. And then this one video, that was the thing. They were promoting those. Man, game changer. They never fall out of the wall, and that saved every day. It saved me from coming home super angry and pissed off because I had wasted so much time replacing those things, to like feeling really productive and awesome and just proud of myself for doing that little bit of due diligence.
Yeah.
So now every job that I go to, I'll try and, if it's something I haven't done even just in a week or two, I'll just try and pop a video on to just see what new idea somebody had.
Exactly. Hey, I don't, just to be super clear, I don't want to know about your personal finances, but I want to ask a question that's more of a generalized question based on your experience in the handyman world.
Okay.
What would be a reasonable, if a young person came to you and said, hey, how much money could I make as a handyman? So I'm not asking you what you make, but think about what a young, strong man who's capable and willing to learn can do if he just wanted to pour himself into it 24/7. He's like, I'm gonna set a year aside and I'm gonna build this business. What annual income, not revenue? Revenue includes, revenue includes the money for the materials. Revenue, some of that goes to taxes and stuff. But what would you say a person could make as a handyman, literally in their first year of business too, by doing nothing more than just being willing to give it everything they've got and to focus on nothing more than just, I'm going to sock money away. Maybe I want to, maybe I'm not dating either, right? And I don't have kids, and I just want to build a future for my future family. How much could you make per year as a professional handyman without screwing anybody over either?
Well, easy. No less than $100,000.
Yeah.
Easy. And then, and the sky's the limit from there. I think if it's everything like you just said, if he's putting everything into it and he already has the skills and all that stuff, and I mean, might be lowballing it with 100,000.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's in his second year of being a handyman, and he's well over 200.
Yeah.
And then I have friends who are handymen, or not even handymen. They're just strictly drywall patchers, baseboard installers, and small job painters. And they've been making over $100,000 for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
With those limited skill set.
Yep. And I agree fully. I think if the situation is you're giving it everything you've got. You're not focused on, you're not a member of some local club that like you don't, if you don't have a good work-life balance, let's put it that way. If work-life balance is not your goal and building a business is your goal, I agree with you. 6 figures is kind of the starting point. If you're giving it literally, if you're not spending any minute of any day doing anything other than trying to build that business up. And then I think the maximum is probably somewhere in that 250,000. I think to exceed 250 grand a year, you probably have to start being a little bit unethical and maybe taking advantage of some people. But I think you can have happy clients who want to bring you back again for the same rate and be upwards of 250 if you really, really wanted to. But 100 is probably the minimum.
Yep, absolutely. And you don't have a choice. I don't think you have much say in the matter anyway, because I think if you're not making 100 grand a year anyway, you're struggling.
Yeah. And to be clear, that's after taxes. Or that's after business taxes, not after your personal taxes.
Yeah.
You might, maybe you do 120 and you end up having to pay 30 in taxes, so you had 90 in your pocket. But still, you paid yourself that 120 before you paid income taxes on it. So I
but
agree
you break
with
that
all
down
of that.
after taxes. That's really 90 is not a lot to live on.
No, it's not, dude.
5,000 a month.
That's a whole other topic we could probably get into. I don't know how anybody makes it anymore if they're not a business owner. It's crazy.
I don't either. I don't know how I live. I don't know how I survived my fire salary. I mean, after 20 years, I was making my base salary, I think, was low 60s.
Yeah.
After 20 years, and I only got and that's only because I got like a $5 raise towards the end of that career. Before that, I was around 14, 15, an hour. And so I look back and I'm like, oh Jesus! But at the time, I only had a $600 mortgage and no truck payments. But now a truck payment went from $500 to $1,200. Your mortgage went from $1,000 to $1,500 to now it's $3,000. And
it's insane. I don't know how people do it. Emily comes to me for grocery. When we do groceries, we do online ordering. So we drive there and pick it up, but we don't go into the store to shop for it. We let them get it all together and then we go pick it up for free.
Yep.
And when we do that, she'll come to me and she'll be like, hey, I need, $450 for the groceries this time. And this is like every, 5 or 6 days. And I'm just, I'm not mad about it at all. Now, don't get me wrong. We do mostly organic.
Yep.
And we don't eat junk. Like our groceries, almost, I don't want to say never. We like spaghetti on occasion. But we're not eating like, pasta 7 days a week because it's all we can afford. We try to get organic vegetables, which to me just means, it's not fancy. It just means without poison. It's like, do you want your vegetables with or without poison? So we do the without poison version. But still, to just not poison my family and to feed them real food without doing anything fancy, man. We're not doing T-bones and stuff.
Yeah.
$500 every 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
And it used to never cost that much. And that's just that. I mean, everything else on top of it, I feel like if I was still working on planes, making about 60 a year, we'd be screwed. Like if a car broke down or if a dog needed to go to the vet, like that's just the end of the line for us. We'd be calling, our parents and begging our parents for money or something.
Always drowned in, that opens up a door to a whole other thing. Cause then that was a big, I think that's a problem with everybody, but that was a really big thing for us too. Cause me and my ex-wife, we wanted to be independent and all this stuff, but man, we always had to do that. We always had to lean on like her mother, which we didn't want to do because that invites unwanted criticism and an owner stake in your life and the decisions you make. And so like you're selling yourself to the devil kind of just because your washing machine broke, and so, it's a bad position to be in so many ways. But Yeah,
it's probably the best reason to become a business owner.
Yeah, my best friend and old building partner told me that in the beginning. Like when I was only a year or two into the fire service, and I started working with him, and I said, "Hey, what do you see my future looking like in the construction industry?" And he's like, "Man, you're not going to be able to afford to stay a fireman." And I didn't think about it again until, many years later, of what that meant. I'm like, that's a strange comment, but no, it was nailed it, and it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm mostly through my list of notes. I feel like if I tried to dive into too many other subjects, I would just end up maybe dragging things out unnecessarily. And I want to leave more for a future interview too. So I do want to wrap up soon, but
yeah, I got to pick up the kids soon anyway.
Oh, okay. Oh, am I holding you up from picking up your kids?
Nope.
Oh, good. So here's what I want to do then right now is I'm going to leave some of these other subjects because we're at like 2 hours and 49 minutes already. I want to leave some of these other subjects so we have more to talk about on a future interview, but I do want to give you the last word here and make sure that you have the opportunity to say, especially, anything motivational, because I think a lot of the people that do watch the interviews on this channel are specifically some of the guys who are considering diving in, and they're trying to get a grasp of like what this lifestyle is and what it means and what they need to know. So any advice that you want to provide to anybody who either just started or is on the fence thinking of starting, that would be the best. But it's open floor for you though. Whatever you want to say to any type of viewer for any reason, I want to give you sort of the last word here.
Okay. I could definitely say, without even thinking, never base any decision based on fear. If anything, use fear as a motivator to directly attack that fear. It's a motivational quote from I'm brain farting on it now, but
Goggins.
Nope, not Goggins. This one is actually, who's a host of Price is Right now?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, you're gonna feel silly when you. But anyway, one of my favorite quotes from him is, "Get comfortable being uncomfortable." The most successful people should not be comfortable. You should always be outside of your comfort zone, and to truly build success. And like I was telling you before, I learned to chase those, to always go after those people who I find a little weird, or the job might be something that I don't think I'm capable of doing. I attack them, and they always pay off big, and such weird, unexpected ways. And don't base any decisions on fear. Attack that. Chase, be uncomfortable. Chase that. That's what I like about Goggins, is because he makes it so simple. He's like, well, what should I do? He's like, well, what do you hate? Well, do that. It's simple. It's the simplest way to find the solution. And another thing is, one of my business friends, when I first started this, said 100% the first year is going to be rough. The second year will be rough, but less rough. He's like, and the third year, mark my words, and I'm living this right now. This is the beginning of the third year. I'm really, really happy where I am, and the anxiety is gone, and has been for a while. Trust in the process. And I said it the last time you interviewed me after the camp out, was everything has gone exactly the way you laid it out. And really, I just followed, your guidance, and tuned in to talk to you here and there. And that's it. It's been overwhelmingly, it probably saved my life. Actually, I could say that, because if this didn't work out, I don't know what I would have done. But this tremendous sense of self-satisfaction that I have now, that I quit something of 20 years. I was always programmed to be a government employee, and now I'm 100% on my own and doing better than I ever have. Just so much worth in that. And that's
cool, man.
You can't describe.
That's cool. I love hearing that. You're a very important person to me, so I love hearing that you're doing so great.
Well, ditto, Ray. Yes, indeed. I owe all this to bumping into you on YouTube and getting to know you. So that's been a big deal.
Well, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna stop the recording now so we can close this out. I love you guys. I hope y'all are out there killing it. I'll see y'all on the next one, and we're gonna have Chris on again. So.